Chapter 1. Year and a half later. When will I ever get used to Virginia winters? Quinn shivers beside me as we walk to the communications building. Probably about the time we graduate. Have you decided yet about the holidays? I'm going to fly directly into Aspen and stay the 10 days. Then I'm coming right back. How'd your mom and dad take it? All right. They didn't push too hard because they knew I may bail altogether. Want me to come back early so you won't be alone on New Year's? Nope. I've been invited to a few parties. I'll be fine. We'll see. I haven't spent New Year's without you since we were like 11 years old. No need to break tradition now. I love my best friend. She can read me like a book and knows how much I'll miss her over the holidays, but she also knows I would never ask her to give up her family time for me. God knows I already disrupted her life enough. To this day, I'm not sure her mother forgives me for Quinn being in Virginia. The day of my high school graduation became a blur after Holly and Bryce's announcement. It wasn't hard to stay away from either of them, especially when we walked into my favorite Mexican restaurant for my celebration dinner, and Holly became ill. Bryce had to take her home, and I never saw him again that night. The next day, I set about changing my entire future. There were several schools I'd been accepted to prior to deciding on UT. One of my top choices was University of Virginia in Charlottesville. I called them and spoke to the dean of admissions and did everything short of begging to get my slot back. Somehow I even got Quinn's back, too, explaining she was my roommate. The only caveat was we had to attend summer school, which started 3 weeks later. I wasn't sure of Quinn's reaction to the drastic change in plans, but she was surprisingly excited. When I sat down and told my parents that night, my dad hit the roof, but my mom was more accepting. She followed me to my room and sat on my bed as we made a list of things we needed to do. When we were finished, she pulled me down next to her and wrapped her arms around my shoulders. I know why you are doing this, Devin, and I completely understand. Tears stung my eyes and a sob escaped. Are you upset with me? Not at all. Aren't you going to tell me how unreasonable I'm being? How I need to grow up? Not at all. Nothing? Not even that this is a rash decision I may regret? Nope. Why? Because when your heart breaks, my heart breaks. And I saw your heart break yesterday at 2:30 p.m. Watching the light die out of your eyes was one of the hardest things I've had to witness in your life. I've known for years how you feel about Bryce Randolph, and even though your level of devotion worried me, I understood it. Part of me wishes you would have gotten over it through the last year, but you continued to live your life and become this beautiful young woman. You don't think I'm acting like a silly 18-year-old lovesick fool? Well, yes, but that's okay. You fell in love with an amazing young man. Bryce is one of the finest people I know. He's noble and respectable. His decisions are selfless. He's determined to serve his country with honor, and until yesterday, I'd never thought poorly of him. But when he walked into my house with that girl and killed the hope and longing you had on one of the most important days of your life, I lost respect for him. I couldn't control the sobs that racked my body. Mom, it hurts so much. Such a stupid thing to say, but I've had a crush on him forever. He made me feel safe and special, and one night, many years ago, I spilled my guts and told him I was crazy about him. Instead of embarrassing me, he told me he hoped I felt that way when I was 18, and I still do. Every other guy I have ever gone out with can't compare to him. Young love is devastating, Devin, and you never gave anyone else a chance. The reason I didn't talk to you sooner is because I fell in love with your dad the first day of sophomore English. You've heard the stories of us being high school sweethearts, but it wasn't always easy. Even with my own self-doubts throughout the years, I never stopped loving your dad. I saw the same love on your face the last few years when you looked at Bryce. You don't think I'm too young? No, but now things have changed. I'm going to support and help you move on. Bryce was sad yesterday. It was obvious. But he's going to do the right thing with that girl. It's the kind of man he is. Will he be happy? I don't know, but it's my job to make sure you're okay. Whatever it takes and however long. I love you, Mom. Love you too. Now, let's get some rest before we tackle getting you ready to leave for college. I thought I had 7 weeks to get used to my baby leaving. It may be you consoling me soon. The next day, we started a whirlwind of packing and shopping. My brother had a conniption when he learned what I had done, but when he saw the hurt on my face, he realized something was wrong. Bryce tried several times to contact me, but I was able to avoid him. He took Holly back to UT campus and started his own summer semester. Since my departure was so rushed, we did a small dinner with Quinn's family as our going-away party. At the last minute, the Randolphs found out and insisted on coming. They were so wrapped up in the news they were going to be grandparents, they didn't ever ask me about my change in plans. 3 weeks to the day after graduation, I drove away from Nashville with a new outlook on life. My heart was broken, but for the first time, I was focused only on me. There was no longer the possibility of a Devon and Bryce, and I vowed to never be a lovesick fool again. Young love or not, it hurt like hell. Hello, Earth to Devon. Quinn waves her hand in front of my face, bringing me out of my trance. Where'd you go? I was just thinking about us moving here. Best decision we ever made. I think so, too. Our paper is due next week for World Journalism. Do you want to head to D.C. this weekend and see if we can catch a protest or something? Yes, actually, that sounds great. I'll bring the camera. I hate it that you're a double threat. Besides journalism, your photography skills will get you into the Masters of Fine Arts program with no problems. We'll get in together, just like we do everything else. When we get to the building, we head to our separate lectures. The small group I always sit with saved me a seat, and I smile as I greet everyone. It's a running joke among my peers that Quinn and I are the babies. Since we both graduated with AP credits and came straight to summer school, we've always been the youngest in our classes. Technically, we're both juniors. My pocket vibrates with an incoming message, and I almost drop it when I see who it's from. Bryce's name appears with a single sentence. We need to talk. Staring at the screen, it seems like a good idea to ignore him. But in the back of my head, I think about my Getting Over Bryce Randolph program and the steps involved. I created this personal program the first summer at UVA. It was 3 weeks after moving here, and Quinn finally convinced me to get my head out of my ass. We started meeting new people. Then I gradually started dating. We both made the cheerleading team, which helped keep our social lives busy. I still thought about Bryce all the time, but it was becoming less and less painful. Unfortunately, no other guy caught my attention either, but that was okay. I'd enjoyed the new friends and my college experiences so far. 7 weeks after I left home, my mom called and broke the news that Holly had lost the baby at 13 weeks. All of the Randolph family, including Bryce, was devastated. I sent a sympathy card to everyone and even included a separate note to Holly. I learned she was staying at Bryce's parents' house for a week to recover. Bryce sent me a very nice text thanking me for my kindness, and I didn't hear from him for months. It was easy to avoid going home the entire semester since it was football season. My parents and Nate flew in for a few of the games, and we spent the weekends in Virginia. When I learned he and Holly planned on spending the entire holiday season in Nashville, I begged my mom to plan a family trip away. It had been 7 months since I'd seen him, but I still wasn't ready. My parents thought it was a great idea, and so we started the tradition of going to a ski town to celebrate together. With creative planning and the help of my mom and Quinn, I have successfully been able to avoid any situations that would require being around the Randolph family and Holly. In the last year and a half, I've been home a total of 15 days and stayed incognito. Sheila and Dave, Bryce's parents, noticed my absence, but my parents are brilliant at covering for me. Yes, even my dad knows the truth about my devastating crush on Bryce. Nate never mentions Holly, which I'm thankful for. I prefer not to hear about her at all. Bryce has contacted me a few times via text, email, and even a few voice messages. Instead of calling back, I always reply with the same answer. Hey Bryce, nice to hear from you. Hope you are well. Things are great with me. Super busy. Maybe we can catch up soon. Thanks for checking in. This always seemed safe since it acknowledged his message, confirmed I was okay, and mentioned I was busy. So today's message, we need to talk, catches me off guard. What do we need to talk about? Curiosity gets the best of me and I type a reply. Me. Why? Is everything okay? Bryce. We need to talk. Me. Is Nate okay? Fear washes over me for a brief second, but my parents would have called if there was a problem. Bryce. Nate is fine. You've been dodging my ass forever. Now I hear you aren't coming home for Christmas again. So as I said, we need to talk. My mind goes into defense mode, and I need to shut this down. He doesn't get to decide when we talk. What is there to say? We were friends, and I've been a shitty friend, but he has a fiancé. What the hell does he need with me? He broke my heart. I don't owe him an explanation, and vice versa. Me. I haven't been dodging you at all. It's nice to hear from you. I hope you are doing well. I'm still super busy. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting in class now. Yep, going out of town for family trip over the holidays. Maybe we can catch up soon. Thanks for checking in. Bryce. God damn it, Devin. Cut the bullshit. Either you call me or else. I mean it. I've put up with this for too long. You have to let me explain. Silence. Bryce. Devin, I know you're there. I can see when the message is delivered. Answer me. Silence. Bryce. I'll give you 2 days. Luckily, my professor comes in and starts the class. I turn off my phone after sending Quinn an SOS message. Me. Tequila and limes for dinner. Ugh, I feel like shit. I skipped my class this morning and now Quinn's driving us to D.C. to chase a series of protests we found online. She watched as I drank myself into oblivion last night, dissecting every text from Bryce. At one point, she called Nate, and he tried to talk me into at least listening to Bryce, but I shut him down. He acted really weird about the whole thing. I figured it was because they were still best friends. Little sisters and best friends never mix. I'd learned my lesson. Let's make sure we get the protesters outside the White House. I have an idea, I tell Quinn as she parks. You got it, she agrees. We go in different directions, making plans to meet in 3 hours. I trudge along the back of the park, still cursing my hangover and the man who I couldn't get off my mind. Once I pass the first alley, I stop and turn back. There's a very petite lady and 2 small children sitting in a huddle. She holds the small children as they cry. They look at me uncomfortably as I approach. I explain I'm a college student taking pictures for a project, and they instantly relax. Over the next hour, I listen to her story of fear and uncertainty, and I know. I have the story for my world journalism paper. I only leave them to go to the protest and take pictures for Quinn's piece. On our way home, we talk nonstop about our different experiences. She found her angle, and I found mine. And for a brief moment, I think about how proud Nate and Bryce would be. But I let it go. This is my life now. Chapter 2. 3 hours. Only 3 hours until I get on the plane and head across the country to Aspen, Colorado for the next 10 days. Quinn is next to me, refreshing the site every few minutes, looking for our grades to post. I asked her to stop an hour ago, but she won't. She's addicted. If she gets less than a B, she'll have a total meltdown. That's one reason we're at the airport so freaking early. Our flights are an hour apart, but she needs moral support. So I sit here, drinking a beer, and she has her head buried in the computer. My adrenaline is flowing, ready to be on the slopes, and Quinn is killing my excitement. Will you stop and have a beer? Yeah, she sighs, placing the computer in her bag. What are the plans for Miami on New Year's? My parents got us a room. After the game, I guess we'll figure out where the party is. Knew we wouldn't be apart? She claps excitedly, wiggling in her seat. When UVA was invited to play in the Orange Bowl, our plans changed completely. My parents got us a room away from the chaos. My break is looking awesome. Snow and sand sound heavenly. It's been 10 days since Bryce texted me, and I'm still on edge. He said he'd give me 2 days and then nothing. My heart was not letting me forget, but my mind was winning. I had to let go. Quinn and I decide to do a few shots before our flights, and somehow end up with an audience. A few guys join us, buying drinks and body shots up until the last minute. We say our goodbyes and run to our gates. I settle in with my iPad, getting comfortable against the window seat, when the scent of familiar cologne wafts through my senses. Holy shit! It's been a while, but I'd know that smell on my deathbed. Bryce. I look around, inspecting every seat, but there are no familiar faces. It's ridiculous. Tons of men probably wear the same brand of cologne, so why does my mind automatically assume it's only him? A young businessman sits next to me and immediately brings out his computer. I sink down and close my eyes, knowing someone on this flight is going to torture me with the one scent that can bring me to my knees. Once we take off, I order a vodka and soda, showing my fake ID with a huge smile. The guy beside me chuckles and gives me a wink. I almost think he's flirting, but he snaps his attention back to the computer. The flight attendant returns with the drink, and I suck it down quickly. The stranger beside me laughs softly again, shaking his head. Really? Is he flirting or judging? Not giving it a second thought, I position my hoodie against the window and fall asleep. Dreams invade my mind. Images of the rally in D.C. last week and the woman who spoke to me candidly about her fears, the 2 small children clinging to her but watching me in fascination. Then the scene fades to just me in a field, laughing and smiling, spinning in circles as rain drenches me. I feel carefree, happy. Lightning strikes, and someone is calling me, telling me to get out of the rain. A hand reaches for me, but there is no face. The damn cologne permeates the air around me again, so close. I jerk awake and feel warmth on the skin of my wrist. There's a hand wrapped around it securely, resting on my thigh. I lurch back, ready to scream, when my gaze connects with the deep blue eyes I'd recognize anywhere. Bryce Randolph is facing me, caging me in between him and the wall of the plane. My breath catches in my throat at the sight of him. My eyes rake over his body. The last 19 months have been good to him. His chest is fuller, his shoulders broader. The long-sleeve thermal shirt fits snugly around the muscles in his arms. For a brief second, I grin at him, then remember where we are. "What are you doing here?" I hiss and yank back on my wrist. "We need to talk," he growls. The man occupying the aisle seat has disappeared. "You keep saying that, but what do we need to talk about?" "Are you fucking kidding me? Where should I start?" Seriously? Well, you can start with answering the question, what are you doing here? "I gave you 2 days to call me, or else. This is the else." You got on a plane that's going to Colorado because I didn't call you?
Not just that. If I got another one of your fucking fake-ass texts telling me you were super busy and we'd catch up soon, I was going to punch something. This shit has gone on long enough.
I am busy.
Devin, don't throw your sass. I live with your brother. If you have 3 hours a week to fill him in on everything from your school project to your latest failed date, you have 10 minutes to spare for me.
You listen to our conversations?
If I can. It's the only way to know how you are. The monotone texts with the repeat message give me nothing.
So you fly to Virginia to get on a plane with me, to then turn around and fly another 3,000 miles across the country?
Drastic measures.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
It was a last resort to get you to listen to me. Now I have almost 6 hours with you alone.
Then what?
Then I share you with the rest of our families for the next 10 days.
What? I screech a little too loudly because the woman in front of me turns around and looks at me warily. I nod apologetically.
Yep, I'm delivering you safely to Aspen, where we'll meet our families.
Dread washes through me. There is no way I can be around Bryce for the holidays. Even though I'm doing better, seeing him makes old feelings resurface, feelings I thought were gone but obviously just repressed. Then it hits me like a ton of bricks. My breath picks up and I start to wheeze. My vision becomes spotty as tears pool in my eyes.
Hey, Devin, what's going on? Breathe, baby girl.
Bryce's arm wraps around my shoulder and tugs me into his shoulder. Holly? The word slips out and my voice cracks. His face melts and he lifts my chin so I have no choice but to look at him.
There is no Holly. If you'd have responded to my texts or returned my calls, you would know that. She's been gone a while now, Devin.
The confusion I'm feeling must be transparent because he chuckles and laces his fingers through mine, holding my hand tightly. He motions for the flight attendant, who disappears into first class and comes back with my original seatmate. Bryce shakes his hand and thanks him, then stands. He gets my bag and pulls me behind him. There are 2 empty seats in the back of first class, and he motions for me to take the window seat again. The flight attendant brings him a beer and me a Diet Dr. Pepper.
I'm not really in the mood for a soda. Humor me. With the amount of alcohol you've had the last few hours, I need to try to clear your head and make you stay awake, at least until we're done talking.
Have you been watching me?
Yep, been watching you since you came through security. Nice body shots, by the way. I almost ripped those guys' heads off, but I kept my eye on the bigger picture.
Bigger picture? I squeak, embarrassed he saw the guys at the bar. Thank God we were creative and found ways to do the shots with all clothing intact.
Yeah, like getting you on a flight where you had nowhere to run.
But why? What do you need to talk to me about? Really, what is there to talk about?
Maybe the fact that I saw you or spoke to you almost every day for years and you cut me off without even a goodbye. Maybe the fact that we used to be close, and you've dodged me repeatedly for far too long.
This is about me not being your friend? Because I've always been your friend, Bryce, but my life has changed. And let's not forget, I'm Nate's little sister.
My friend? Nate's little sister?
Well, yes.
You have no fucking clue, do you? I stopped thinking of you as Nate's little sister the night you stuck your tongue down my throat with the sweetest kiss I'd ever tasted.
Embarrassment floods my cheeks, and I look around to see if anyone heard. But the people around us are all lying back with headphones, watching the in-flight movie.
Don't be embarrassed. It was the highlight of my life so far. I dream about the feeling of your soft, sweet lips on mine. You have to understand where I was coming from. You were 15 years old. I was almost 19, leaving for college in a few weeks, and you should have been off limits.
I think about it for a second and see his point. Okay, but don't flatter me. I'm sure a baby on the way and proposing to your girlfriend trumps a kiss from a lovesick teenager.
No,
I roll my eyes and reach for his beer, which he quickly replaces with my soda.
Fuck,
he groans, rubbing his hands over his face.
Shit, this is hard.
You know what? Let's not make it hard. Let's not talk at all. I've personally had enough. I'll go back to sleep and you can watch the movie. Then when we get to Aspen, we can go our separate ways.
How do you propose we do that? We're in the same house.
Not if I go to Nashville. I slapped my hand over my mouth, cursing myself for saying my plan verbally.
You wouldn't. Your parents would be so upset.
They would understand. They've always understood. I whisper and watch his face fall.
Shit, that explains it.
He throws his head back and drains his beer, then turns to me and pleads.
Please, listen to me, Devin. Let me explain. Since the day you turned 18, my life has been a roller coaster. I've had to make some really hard decisions, and the one person I wanted to throw a joke at me or make me smile has been gone.
My heart beats so loud it's a wonder my chest isn't pulsing. I want to tell him no, just to leave the past in the past, but I can't. Okay. He motions for another beer, and I give him my drink to throw away. The little I sipped is threatening to come back up. My mind is telling me to just hear him out, but my gut is saying he's about to crush me again.
Where should I start?
Wherever you want. He sighs and then turns his whole body to me, knees and chest trapping me in.
Nate and I had a plan. Officer candidate school after college, serving our country, being the men we wanted to be. Our plan was in sync until I met Holly. She was easy, a simple distraction. I swear it was only casual. About 3 months after we met, she became clingy. She had a fit when you and Quinn visited. She knew who you were, not just Nate's little sister, but she knew who you were to me. What you meant. I blew her off all weekend, and she saw us at the bowling alley that Saturday night. The week of your birthday and graduation, she tried to pin me down on the status of our relationship. I explained there was no relationship. She told me she was late and took a test that morning. She was pregnant. My world stopped. I knew she wasn't who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, but what about the innocent child? He or she never needed to know their mother was a quick lay.
I wince, and he notices.
This isn't a pretty story, Devin, but I'll always be completely honest with you, especially about this.
Go on.
She tricked me. I wanted to talk to my parents alone, but she showed up to our apartment with her bag packed and convinced Nate I invited her home with us. He played along since he couldn't find me, but when I got there and found her, I was livid. She gave me an ultimatum. Either I introduced her to my parents or she made a decision about keeping the baby alone. I caved. When she met my parents that night, she played me. She made our relationship seem stable, committed, and then let the pregnancy slip. My mom was shocked. My dad knew right away something was wrong. We talked that night after Mom and Holly went to bed, and he made me understand my obligations were clear: finishing school, OCS, and being a good father. The next morning, my mom asked me if our relationship was serious enough for me to marry Holly, and she walked in. Her reaction was disturbing. She jumped on me and accepted a marriage proposal that never occurred. We had to be at your house in a few hours, and I called Nate to tell him what happened. We knew she was crazy, but Nate didn't want to ruin anyone's day. My mom knew I was unhappy, but made the effort to keep Holly satisfied. When she saw you coming down the stairs that day, she stiffened and held on to me. I knew it was going to be bad.
So, you never proposed to her? She wasn't your fiancé?
Never. When we went back to UT, I had a heart-to-heart with her. Using my parents' words of wisdom, I explained I would be the best dad in the world, but I didn't love her and had no plans to marry her. She turned against me for days, threatening to end the pregnancy, and I was a wreck. Once again, I caved, and promised to give the relationship a chance. She was a manipulative bitch, but she was carrying my child. I tried, I really did, but nothing ever developed on my end. When she lost the baby, we were at the movies. She started cramping and panting hard. I knew something was wrong, but she ignored it, saying we were on a real date. Finally, I forced her to go to the hospital, where she miscarried. It was devastating. She hung to me, and I let her. Her parents live in Utah, so I took her to Mom and Dad's to rest for a week.
That's so sad. I'm sorry. 2 tears fall down my face as I think of anyone losing a child.
She took a while to recover. I knew she was hurting. We both were, but I was able to compartmentalize. She had nightmares and anxiety attacks all the time. I felt an obligation to help her through her pain. By December of last year, she was in counseling and working through the loss. It had been months, but she wasn't getting better.
I don't understand. Was she your girlfriend?
Not in the true sense of the word, but after the surprise pregnancy and the miscarriage, she asked me not to embarrass her further. The loss of her boyfriend would be too much, so I played along. I met her a few times a week on campus for lunch, took her to dinner, and made sure she had support when she felt depressed. But we never had a relationship outside of that. Finally, last February, she made a breakthrough. Her counselor asked me to come to her last session, and I agreed. When I showed up, it was an ambush.
How?
She had taken all my kindness and sincerity of the loss as an indication that we were okay, as a couple. Her counselor was surprised to learn I had no feelings toward her. It took several more weeks to get Holly to a good place, and then she transferred at the end of the semester. I helped her parents pack her up to move back to Utah, and then set about getting my life straight again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'd never fully dealt with the loss. Guilt and sadness plagued me. I went home for 2 weeks and used that time to figure out what was killing me inside.
I'm so sorry. I'm sure the loss of your unborn child took a toll on you. Then taking care of the mother for almost 9 months.
You see, that's what everyone would think. But when I got away from the bullshit of school and the pressure of the weekend drills and Holly, I found the root of my problem. It was the look of the angel coming down the stairs and seeing another woman wrapped around me, carrying my child, that haunted me.
I suck in a breath and meet the most intense stare of my life. Bryce's expression is blank and dejected.
I hurt, sweet girl, when I lost my baby. I had feelings of loss, sadness, and emptiness. But that didn't compare to the way I felt when you looked at me when you met Holly and she indicated she was pregnant. The light in your beautiful green eyes died. The color on your face vanished. The overzealous energy in your body deflated. That loss was the most devastating thing I ever felt. I knew in that moment I was the cause, and it killed me. Losing a child I never knew was crushing, but losing you was heartbreaking.
Holy shit, is the only thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, then you ignoring me and the bullshit text messages drove me insane. Your stubbornness to stay away, your hiding, everything had me going fucking crazy. I decided to stop the shit tonight.
What does that mean?
I've spent the last few months working my ass off and calling in every favor I have, starting with tonight. When I didn't hear from you in the 2 days, a few friends helped me get to Virginia and then on this flight. Thank God the flight attendants are romantics at heart. The man back there knew I was coming after you as soon as the plane took off.
Why did you go to all the trouble? Why not wait until I arrived in Aspen to blindside me?
I couldn't wait any longer. And because I'm going to prove to you that I'm the man you cared about and bring that light back to your eyes.
Bryce.
No, Devin, I just laid my shit out. Can you handle it?
Handle what exactly? The fact that you got a woman pregnant and cared for her until she was well through the loss of your child? Or the fact that once again, you proved how awesome you are through your devotion and commitment to do the right thing? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for your forgiveness. I'm looking for your happiness, your devotion, your own commitment. I'm looking for my Devon to come back to me.
There's nothing to forgive.
Yes, there is. I let you down. I never want to see that look on your face again. It was my undoing. There aren't enough apologies in the world to make up for ruining your birthday and graduation, but I'm going to try to erase the terrible memory from your mind. You were always the bright star to my sky. Everyone knew it but me until it was too late.
What do you mean?
I mean, my parents, your parents, Nate, everyone knew. I was too stupid to see it, but when you disappeared from my life, I knew it too. You're my girl, Devon. You're meant to be mine.
Things have changed, Bryce. I've changed.
How so?
I have a life I love in Virginia. I changed my major. I'm applying to the MFA program. I may be young, but I've set my dreams differently than a naive 18-year-old.
You weren't naive.
Following a crazy crush to college with my best friend? Yes, it's safe to say I was naive.
I was looking forward to it.
Until you got your easy lay pregnant. It flies from my lips before I can stop myself. His face falls and a guard goes up. That was uncalled for. I'm sorry. I just have lived with her face as she held you close and told me you were having a baby for a long time. The image is burned in my brain.
Let's not mention it again,
he answers without emotion. I have to know something. It's always been in the back of my mind. If the situation was reversed, and I introduced you to the man responsible for knocking me up, he shook your hand and said he was my fiancé. What would you do? The shades of fury cloud his face and he drinks his beer in one sip.
I'd wait for Nate to castrate him, then I'd kill him slowly. No doubt he would pay for taking what's mine.
I'm hardly yours, I scoff.
You've always been mine. Now it's time to prove it.
Bryce, it's no secret you hurt me. I was stupid and young. I fell in love with the 15-year-old boy who was nice to me. If you want my forgiveness, you have it. But we can only be friends. My heart is slowly healing from a one-sided schoolgirl crush.
Who said it was one-sided?
The fact that I came face to face with Holly seems to prove my point.
After tonight, we don't talk about anyone else but you and me. Holly was part of my life I'll never forget, but she's gone.
Before I can help myself, I blurt out, "Are there others?"
You mean women I've had sex with?
Yes.
Yeah, baby, there are, but I'm done.
No more sex? I ask, confused.
We'll see. For now, we need to rest. I have a feeling your parents and brother will have a welcome party when we arrive.
I don't want to rest now. I want to talk more. He ignores me and stands, pulling me with him, then sits in my seat, stretching his long legs across the two spaces and laying me against him. I want to fight him so badly, but my body betrays me, and I fall asleep on his chest, listening to the beat of his heart. Chapter 3. Nate, if you shove me, it will be one more reason I kill you in your sleep, I scream at my brother behind me, eyeing the hill below.
One more, huh?
Yeah, you jackass. Why didn't you tell me Bryce broke up with Holly? Or the fact they were never engaged? Why did you all let me think he was going to marry her? Surely Mom and Dad knew they weren't engaged. But you all let me believe they were together.
Would it have mattered? For a while, I wasn't sure how their relationship would go. She used the baby to manipulate him. Then once everything happened, you had finally moved on. You were cheering, dating. Everything was good with you.
You could have shared.
I didn't want you caught up in their drama. It went on for a long time. Even though we all knew they weren't engaged and her feelings were one-sided, he kept helping her. I personally wanted to keep you as far away from that as possible.
His words sink in and I realize he was looking out for me. I'll forgive you, but only because you were concerned. Now let's see who can get to cocktail hour fastest. I push off and get a great wind, speeding down as Nate fumbles with his snowboard. When I get to the bottom before him, I make a mad dash to the condo. Even though a drink sounds great, I'm desperate to talk to Quinn. She answers on the first ring and I scoot to the edge of the patio to watch for anyone coming in. How much time do you have? I ask quickly. As long as you need. Good, you're gonna need it. I replay everything that's happened in the last 24 hours. So what happened when you got to the condo? Everyone was awake and waiting for us. We ordered room service and watched TV. I pretended to be exhausted and went to bed, then stayed up all night trying to make sense of everything. What happened this morning? I stayed hidden until Nate finally knocked on my door. The Randolphs had an early morning ski class. Bryce probably didn't need the refresher, but I was glad not to face him. My parents had breakfast for us, and we successfully dodged the Devin and Bryce conversation, and then I went skiing with Nate. Now I ran off to call you while the condo is empty. Do we have the proper amount of time to truly break this down? No. So how real can I be without you freaking out? More so without you sneaking away to get on a plane and making a fool out of yourself. Quinn, I'm not a flight risk, not anymore. As much as I want to run, it would kill my parents. Besides, I've matured. Packing up and running out of here would show glaring signs of immaturity. How many times have you thought about leaving? Be honest. 3. I sigh into the phone. But I really did change my mind. It was just panic at being in the same house with him for so long. It's your job to help me figure out a way to get through this. I think you need to go with the flow, see how things happen. That is your advice? Surely you have something better than that. Nope, that's it. You saw me, Quinn. You lived with me. You know how badly he hurt me. Devin, I hate to tell you this, but being the awesome BFF that I am, it's time you wake up to a dose of reality. I was there, too, when Holly made her announcement. I watched the devastation and dread fill Bryce's eyes. It was obvious to me he cared a lot more for you than he'd ever let on. But because of the situation and impending breakdown, it was my decision to never bring it up again. Months later, when you were starting to recover, it was obvious you had changed. Sure, you still tell goofy jokes and have a quirky sense of humor, but now you're guarded. You've never given any other guy a chance, and to be honest, I was surprised at your reaction when Holly miscarried. You sent a fucking card. You didn't call, you didn't go home. You never even really acknowledged the loss and how it may have affected Bryce. You were a different Devin. I was hurting still and trying to protect myself. From what? You had to know that if things progressed, you couldn't hide from their relationship forever. I wasn't hiding. Yes, you were. But that's okay. I've supported you forever. I'll continue to support you until we're old spinsters rocking the nursing home. But if you want my advice, let it go. Be kind, be funny, be yourself. Lose the tension because, believe me, I'm sure everyone around you feels it. Be his friend, Devin, just like you were. Remember the whole maturity thing? This is the time to show it. You have to let go of the past. It's done. Tears overflow onto my cheeks, and I let a small sob escape. Quinn, I'll try, but sometimes I still lie in bed at night with a racing heart and feel the pain crushing me. It makes me so mad because it's ridiculous how obsessed I was with him, almost creepy. No, it's called young love, first love. Some say it's the most intense of your lifetime. I, for one, believe that theory having watched you. How do you get so philosophically smart? I read every smut book that comes out. I'm finding them to be extremely educating about love and sex. Maybe when we're in Miami, I can test the sex part out. You better not. Remember, we're splitting a room. No more hairy-ass wake-up calls for me. That was one time. Still have nightmares about the poodle I was sure he sat on. I double over, laughing at my own joke. If I'm blessed to live to 100, I'll never forget walking into my kitchen one morning and seeing Quinn wrapped up on the couch with her date from the night before. Before I could stop myself, I screamed because his ass was bare, and I swear the way his balls were hanging made it look like he had a toupee down there. He jumped up quickly, which put his whole package on display. He was just a hairy guy. Fucking Devin, it wasn't that bad. I'm laughing too hard to respond. The tears running down my cheeks are now happy tears. Quinn starts giggling with me, and soon we are both gasping, trying to catch our breaths. Okay, smartass, since you started it, let's play the game. No way. Oh yeah, bitch, it's only fair. You know what? You're right. I'll give you 4, that's it. 4 will do because I'm picking my favorites. If you have favorites, that means you already know the problem. Why do you love this game? Because it's fucking hilarious. How do we both continue to pick up the weirdest guys on a campus of 24,000? Don't know, but go. I'm not sure how much longer I'll be alone. Where should I start? Let's go with Mondel. That's easy. It was the curry. He smelled like curry. It oozed out of his body like he bathed in this shit. When he tried to kiss me, I almost threw up in his mouth. It took me a week to get the smell off me. I love that. Tell me about Bobby again. He humped my back, don't you remember? We were lying on the couch and he started moving weird. He thought I was asleep, which is creepy in itself, but then he finished, reached over me for a Kleenex, and then tried to snuggle. Then there's Eli, who had awesome lips. Sad that he didn't know how to use them. At all. Roars come through the phone as Quinn continues to laugh. Want to hear about Philip again? Her snort is my answer. When he slid his hand down my pants, he went for the wrong spot. I had to redirect his fingers, which still didn't help his cause. Stop! Stop! I remember that chump. God, he was good to look at, but no skills. I thought guys learned that when they went through puberty. I'm not going back for seconds. Oh my God, Devin, I have a great idea. Let's create a manual on the female anatomy as a coffee table book. That's disgusting, but brilliant. We can start on that when we get back from Miami. We can even put instructional slides. I can see it now. If you want to date me and get past second base, please read this manual first.
Are you fucking kidding me?
An angry growl comes from the patio door, and I whip around. Bryce is standing in the doorway with his arms crossed, looking extremely pissed.
Danger, Will Robinson. I must go. We are no longer alone,
I say quietly into the phone. Okay, be careful. Remember what I said. Talk to you tomorrow. Love you.
Love you too.
I hang up and turn back to Bryce. Quinn's words ring through my head, and I smile at him. Hi, Bryce. What are you doing back here?
Looking for you. Actually, everyone is looking for you. Nate said you were supposed to meet at the bar after your last run.
I needed to call Quinn, but we can go now.
You going to tell me what you needed to talk to her about? He rumbles.
Nope. Just know that I talk to Quinn all the time and about everything. Now let's go meet everyone. I try to walk past him, but he reaches around and pulls my back to his front, wrapping his arms around me.
Devin, I'm not going to let you ignore me. Make this easy on yourself.
See, Bryce, that's where you should be thanking Quinn. I'm not ignoring you anymore. What's done is done. It's time to move on. You asked for my forgiveness, you have it. You want to be friends again? We are. This is me not ignoring you. He kisses my cheek gently and lets me go, but not without linking our hands together and tugging me behind him through the condo. Oh boy, 9 more days of this is going to be the biggest test of my life. Daylight savings time! I scream, and the other ladies cheer. The three of us dance around and high-five. We've been playing Pictionary for an hour and beat the guys every round. Groans surround us as the group of sore losers lay back on the sofa.
I think it was a terrible idea to have men against women, Nate complains.
Hey, there are 4 of you. It was your idea, I remind him.
Yeah, but I forgot Dad draws like a preschooler.
Don't be a sourpuss. Get me some wine. I thrust my empty glass in his face. He rolls his eyes, but the losing team has to wait on the winners.
Dev, I think my body needs a break from skiing tomorrow.
The last 3 days have made me sore. You want to go shopping with us? My mom asks, pointing between her and Sheila.
Yes. Okay, this old man is going to bed,
my dad announces, and kisses my head before slapping Nate on the back. I sip my wine and watch all the parents go to their beds. After I listened to Quinn's advice and decided to move on, this vacation has been perfect. It's almost exactly like old times. Nate, Bryce, and I have spent the days running the courses. I'm not dumb. I know my mom wants to shop tomorrow to get me a loan and ask me about Bryce. She's been eyeing me with a knowing look since walking in the door the first night. Even my dad winks at me when we make eye contact. Sheila and Dave have been especially sweet and loving. When I went into my self-imposed exile from home, I forced myself to think of them taking sides with Holly. But now that I know the truth about their feelings of obligation to the baby and not her, I feel bad for not contacting them when moving to Virginia.
You want to watch a movie?
Nate asks Bryce and me. I nod, but Bryce's phone rings and he leaves the room to answer. My ears immediately perk up, but it's none of my business.
Finally, I have you alone for a few minutes.
My brother scoots closer. You had me alone the first day here.
Yeah, but after you ditched me on the slope and Bryce found you back here, there's always been someone around.
Well, what's up?
Are you okay? I mean, with Bryce being here and being around him for the first time in so long, are you holding up?
Absolutely. I finally let it all go. The emotions of a young girl took over, and I allowed them to guide my decisions for far too long. It's fine. I'm fine. Promise.
I'm really sorry I didn't tell you about the breakup. We all thought it was best that you didn't know at first. Then I decided to see what Bryce was going to do. It was his life.
What do you mean, we all thought it was best?
Dev, you may have thought it was slick to up and change your college and life plans in the blink of an eye, but it was also transparent. It took me a little longer to catch on, and then I wanted to fucking kill him, but he had enough shit to deal with. I gave Mom and Dad updates in case they wanted to share how bad it was with you, but they didn't. You finally started showing signs of letting him go and moving on. Mom said she felt like she was betraying you, but she didn't want to bring false hope until Bryce cut all ties. When he came back to campus after last summer, he was a changed man, determined, driven. He told me exactly what his revelation was about you, and he apologized. Then he told me how he felt. That's why I encouraged you to talk to him, but otherwise stayed out of it. He knew he fucked up. Even though he's my best friend, and I knew he was going crazy trying to talk to you, my loyalties were with you. He asked me numerous times to intervene, but I refused. This whole trip with his family was his idea. I tried to discourage it, not knowing your reaction, but Mom told me to leave it alone. It was time to see how things would go.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Mom is a romantic at heart and wants hearts and flowers everywhere. I'm pretty sure the world isn't filled with unicorns and rainbows, but she still believes. The last few days, a piece of the old Devon returned, but it's new and improved.
What do you mean?
I mean, you've grown, but yet you're still young at heart and goofy.
He stops talking when Bryce walks back in, and they decide on a movie. The couch is a huge sectional, so each guy takes an end and stretches out, while I lie in the middle. Several times I'm startled and jump, kicking Bryce in the ribs. After the third time, he grabs my ankles and puts my feet in his lap. It doesn't take long before I fall asleep.
Babe, wake up. I have to move. Devin, seriously. Your dad will be up soon. I need to go to my room.
I snuggle further into the warm arms that are wrapped around me and sigh. Then I go stiff. What is that poking into my hip?
Yeah, babe. That's one of the reasons I need to go to my own room. If your dad sees us and then sees my heart on, he'll kill me.
I move away slowly and look up to see Bryce's face only inches from mine. There's no time to react before he leans in and brushes his lips against mine, then jumps up and disappears. I roll back over and wonder if it was a dream. Chapter 4. As I suspected, shopping with my mom was a setup. As soon as we were far away enough from Sheila, she drilled me. I didn't give her every detail of our conversation on the plane, but I did tell her the most important parts. Then I told her about Quinn's advice. She told me basically the same thing Nate did, and then surprised me by tearing up. What the hell, Mom? Baby, I don't know all the details, but I hope you can open your heart again. Maybe this time there will be a different ending. What is that supposed to mean? I think Bryce is ready for you. It took him a while to know it, and it took him losing you to know how much you mean to him. Okay, Match.com, let's take things slow here. I'm just getting used to being his friend again. She nods and drops the subject. The three of us go into almost every little shop in the village. We're sitting in a coffee shop chatting when my phone goes crazy. Text message and email alerts sound as it rings. Quinn's face pops up on the screen. Hey, have you checked your email? She screams. Not in a few days. Why? Oh my God, do you remember the pieces we did for World Journalism? Yes. Well, the professor sent us both a message about them. He wants to submit the stories and the photos to a local show. The judges will pick 15 winners and send them on to a museum for an exhibit in Washington, D.C. He thinks we both have a chance at placing. Are you kidding? No, open your email, read it, and call me back. She hangs up and I scroll through my messages. My mom and Sheila bounce excitedly in their chairs when I read the email. Apparently, the deadline is tonight, so I respond to my professor immediately with permission to enter my work and call Quinn back. She does the same. Excitement bubbles up inside me as I realize what a big deal this could be. Photojournalism is my dream, and an opportunity like this will be great for my resume. The three of us are still chatting nonstop when we get back to the condo, where the guys are waiting on us. My dad pops some champagne when he hears, and Nate hugs me tightly. Bryce surprises me by picking me up and spinning me around the room with his head buried in my neck. When he sets me down, the look of pride gives me chills. We celebrate all night and even call Quinn on speakerphone so everyone can congratulate her. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve, so we doubt any submission will be reviewed for at least a few days. But even being considered is awesome. When everyone goes to bed, I lay in my room daydreaming. This vacation has turned out better than I could have imagined. My door opens slowly, and Bryce slips in quietly. Our eyes meet, and he smiles widely. What are you doing?
Coming to bed.
In here?
Yep.
He slides in next to me and pulls me close.
I can't sleep down the hall knowing you're so close. It's driving me crazy. You belong in my arms.
Bryce, what's happening here?
Right now or big picture?
Both. I'm really confused. I told you we're good, we're friends again. A flash of disappointment crosses his face.
Right now we're going to sleep. I'm going to hold you all night and sneak out in the morning. Big picture is still a little blurry. I'll have more answers for you closer to my graduation, but the end result is you in my life. I know there's a lot of ground to cover, and there's a lot to do to heal your wounds, but I'm going to do it. In the end, we'll be a lot more than friends.
That's a lot of presumptions on your part. I'm a different person now, not the girl that worships the ground you walk on anymore.
That's a good thing. When I looked back and realized I didn't want a life without you, I decided it was time to worship the ground you walk on. And it's going to be fun getting to know the new Devon. I suspect she's a lot of the same, but now with more sass.
I stay quiet and think about all he just said. Bryce? Is this big picture of yours a long-term strategy? Maybe something I should know more about?
Yes, it's a long-term strategy, and I'll tell you more when I can.
I have a date. His body goes rigid, and he rolls us so he is half on top of me.
Excuse me?
When we get back from the Orange Bowl in January, I have a date. Not sure why I'm telling you, but some of the things you are saying have me so confused. You sound possessive and determined to have me in your life, but haven't really given me much choice in the matter. Just a few days ago, we hadn't seen or spoken in forever, and now you're talking about us long term. It's only fair to tell you, while you plan your life, I'm going to live mine. The intensity of his stare sends shivers down my body.
Cancel the date.
No.
Cancel the fucking date, Devon.
No.
Don't test me, babe. I'll get creative.
Why?
Why?
Yes, why?
I told you on that plane. You're mine, or at least you're going to be when I break through this wall of hurt I'm responsible for.
I'm not yours, Bryce. Not anymore.
Yes, you are. I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for breaking the bond we shared. Age difference or not, I should have told you how much you meant to me. I was waiting for you, Devon. I was waiting for you when I fucked up. It took too long to get my shit sorted, and I let you think you didn't matter, but you did. When I pulled my shit together, it was you who was my guiding light. I knew I wasn't going to marry her, but the baby was still mine. It was too selfish to ask you to be a part of that when you had such a future ahead of you. When you basically fled to Virginia, my heart hurt every day. But I didn't come to you. I thought it was the right thing to let you move on. But I'm selfish now. That night on your deck when you kissed me, I meant what I said. I prayed for the next 3 years that you would feel the same way when you turned 18, and the moment you laid eyes on me, I could tell you did. But I fucked up. It'll forever be burned in my soul that I let you go. But now it's time to fight for us.
I wouldn't have cared.
Come again?
I wouldn't have cared if you had a baby. If you would have told me you didn't love her and wanted me, I would have done anything for you. I loved you that much. Getting over you was a grieving process. There are still some moments that I think about us and my chest hurts.
Jesus Christ, I'm an asshole.
I stay silent, watching the emotions run through his mind.
I'm going to fight for us, Devon. You'll never doubt me again, but please, give me a chance, a real one. Cancel your date. Let me prove to you and your family how serious I am.
My mind goes back to a time when I would have given anything in the world to hear him say something like this. Then I realize it still means something. I owe it to myself to see where this could go. If he hurts me again, it'll be different because now I'm stronger. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, Bryce, okay. I'll cancel.
Thank you.
What happens next? A sly grin slips across his face and he lowers himself down. His lips touch mine softly, pecking gently. Then he parts my lips with his tongue and moves his fingers to the base of my neck, pulling me closer. I open and accept him, tasting the mint of his toothpaste and a flavor that's all him. Our tongues swirl together, slowly at first, and then desire takes over and we devour each other. Clutching at his biceps, I silently beg him to never stop. This is the kiss I've waited for. My body is on fire, wanting more, but savoring every stroke. His pelvis hits my hip, and I feel him hard and hot through his silk pajama pants. Never in my life has my body responded to the touch of a man like this. Grinding into him, I moan lightly as my aching core rubs against his thigh. He slows our kiss and pulls back slightly, leaning his forehead against mine. Our deep breathing is in sync as we stare at each other. His eyes give me the sign, telling me he's serious. Devotion, love, and passion are all the things I see as he rubs the back of my neck.
That's what happens next. 4.5 years, I dreamed of kissing you again.
My cheeks flush, remembering how awkward I must have been at 15 with no experience at all.
Tell me, Devon, do I have nice lips?
Yes.
Do I know what to do with them?
Holy shit. He heard my conversation with Quinn. I bury my face in his neck and nod.
Good thing, because I don't want to be any part of that loser list. It's my goal in life to make everything perfect for you from now on.
Don't hurt me again, Bryce.
Baby, I'd kill myself before you ever felt another ounce of pain from me. I'm not perfect, but you will never doubt how I feel about you again.
He rolls us over and kisses a small trail from my earlobe to my collarbone. I fall asleep with a smile on my face. After Bryce's declaration, my nerves are in a constant state of flutter. No one around me seems to notice, though. Our little group continues our routine: breakfast, skiing, naps, and games. Bryce still slips into my room every night and leaves by 4 a.m. We've spent countless hours making out, but he always stops me when I try to go further. Instead, he holds me tight, kissing me until I'm breathless, and continuously whispers sweet things in my ear until I fall asleep. Today is actually Christmas Day, and for some reason the guys left unusually early to run an errand. I stayed in my pajamas watching old movies with Mom and Sheila. It was almost noon when I jumped in the shower and then got ready for pictures. No matter where we are, family photos are a must on Christmas Day. I hear a few grunts and run into the main living room to see what's happening. "What the hell?" I shout as the 4 men try unsuccessfully to position a 9-foot tree into a stand.
Loverboy here insisted on a tree. We've been all over Colorado trying to find this shit.
Nate cusses as he tries to fix the alignment.
Fucking dipshit,
Bryce hisses, and when his eyes meet mine, they grow wide. His lips curl in a lopsided grin. His heated gaze sweeps over my body.
Devon, you think you could put on some clothes?
My dad practically growls. I look down and jump, turning away. My robe covers me, but it's still short. Running back to my room, I yell, "To the right! It's still crooked!" My brother cusses again, and Bryce laughs. I choose to wear a gold sweater over black leggings and head back to help. "Mom, what can I do?" I ask, walking into the kitchen. "You can get in here and talk to Sheila and me now," she whispers. "What about?" "How about the fact that in the 27 years I've been married to your dad and had 2 children, he's never brought me a fully decorated tree, much less to a rented condo. Bryce orchestrated all of this." "What?" "She's right, Devon. Bryce is smitten. This is all for you." Sheila slides her arm around my waist. "This isn't for me. This is for us, all of us." "No, dear. Nate was right earlier. We all know how Bryce feels about you now. He's absolutely crazy for you." Your dad may be feeling a different way, but Dave and I are thrilled. Sheila, you may be looking into this a bit more than necessary. We had a rough spot, but it's done. We're friends again. Dear, you tell yourself that. He's going full force. Be prepared. Sheila winks at me and walks into the living room. My mom watches me with a smile on her face as tears pool in her eyes. What the hell? Why all these tears? I groan. Whose side are you on? There's no side here. He knows where I stand. And your father is having a hard time with this, as well as Nate. Hard time with what? I'm beginning to feel like I'm in an alternate universe. You'll see, baby. You'll see. I start to demand she answer me, but Bryce walks into the kitchen, and my breathing stops. He's dressed head to toe in black, his hair wet from the shower. The growth on his face is trimmed, and his cologne fills the room. I want to jump in his arms and run at the same time. As soon as he sees me, he makes a beeline and lifts me off the ground. Merry Christmas, Devon. His kiss surprises me, but I sink into him. Our lips touch briefly, allowing just a taste of each other before my brother barges in and slaps him on the back of the head. Fucking not here. Told you, she's still my baby sister. You're looking for a beatdown. Nate chides and pushes us back from one another. Nate? No, Devon. Dad is already having an anxiety attack. Mom sees her unicorns and rainbow shit. I want him to prove himself. That's all I ask. Make sure he deserves you. Bryce starts laughing, gripping Nate's shoulder. Not even a week and already anxiety attacks? What happens when... Shut your shithole. My dad will hang you. Just be glad you already have family love. Don't push it. Bryce nods with a glimmer in his eye, and Nate looks at me wearily, then leaves us. I, for one, am not having anxiety attacks. I look forward to everything involved, my mom says dreamily behind me. I can tell she has a twinkle in her eyes without even looking at her. When she's gone, his stare grows heated. You look amazing. Absolutely gorgeous. His fingers trail gently down my cheek. Thanks. You too. Going for the Johnny Cash look in all black? I rasp, trying to ignore the tingling his touch causes. Yeah, something like that. I want our pictures to be good. I'll do a great shot with you and your parents. Promise. Babe, I know you will, but I meant us. You and me. I open my mouth to respond, and Sheila bustles into the room in a frenzy. Bryce, you need to confirm our reservations. Your dad and the rest of the guys are useless. Got it, Mom. Bryce? Mom, I need a minute with my girl. Can you do that? I swear I hear a sniffle, but my eyes are locked with his. He captures me with a deep gaze. The room is silent, but a buzz of electricity radiates around us. Is this really happening? I ask. Absolutely. Every moment of today and hopefully every day forward will be about us. I need time. This is crazy. You have time, then. As much as you need. Should we join our families? Yes, but don't get weird on me. I need my Devon. I swallow hard and push back the tears and anxiety. How the hell did this happen? I nod and we head to the living room to celebrate Christmas. Devon, are you done yet? My brother sounds annoyed. Just one more. I adjust the camera and run back to the group. This should be the last picture, if everyone's eyes stay open. It's not my fault I'm compulsive about pictures. To me, the lens of a camera tells a story without words. That's why I specifically chose photojournalism as my major instead of just journalism. My words usually build on the image, not the other way around. Once the shot snaps, everyone breaks up and heads inside while I glance back through the images. Bryce comes up behind me and settles his chin on my shoulder.
You got some great ones.
I think so. We'll upload tonight and see what we want to order.
Are you protective over your camera?
You have no idea. This is like my baby. I hold it close to my chest in case he tries to grab it.
Think you'd let that man over there take a few of just us?
He points to a guy watching us from the porch of the lodge. The man waves and starts walking over. You already asked him, didn't you?
Yeah, he's been waiting for you to finish.
Just a few of us, right?
He'll be careful, I promise.
I nod and give the man a few instructions as he watches me with amusement. Bryce shoves my camera at him and tugs me toward the tree line. Fresh snow covers the greenery around us. My mind instantly goes to how the right positioning will bring in the breathtaking scenery. I'm so wrapped up in deciding on a pose, I don't notice Bryce lean down and haul me over his shoulder. "What are you doing?" I scream, beating on his back.
Making memories.
He spins us around, then repositions me so I'm cradled in his arms. The smile on his face is contagious. Without thinking, I lean in and brush my lips across his. He caresses the back of my neck and pulls me in deeper. The instant his tongue sweeps in and finds mine, he groans. My pulse races, and I clutch his shoulders tightly. Heat and desire run through my veins for this man. I tilt my head to deepen the kiss just as he pulls back, pecking me lightly and spinning us again. We both start laughing, and then I realize we have a small audience. Thank God none of them are our families. Bryce sets me back on my feet and I walk over to the man who has my camera.
Got some great shots, man. Hope you like them, he tells Bryce, and goes back toward a crowd of people waiting at the edge of the snow-covered deck.
Do you know him?
I ask. Not personally. He's the resort photographer. I asked a favor.
Really?
Yeah, babe. I wanted a few of us alone, and it wasn't a good idea to ask our parents or Nate.
Did you know I was going to kiss you?
No, but if you didn't, I would have kissed you. Before you get embarrassed, let's go eat.
He takes my hand and leads me to the restaurant. My dad doesn't hide his scowl when we walk in hand, but my mom whispers something in his ear, which makes him relax. Throughout the meal, Bryce finds a way to touch me as much as possible. The small gestures leave a trail of heat where his fingers touch. Once dinner is finally over, our parents decide to go to the lounge, and Nate, Bryce, and I head to the condo. I leave them to pick out a movie and call Quinn. "Merry Christmas, bitch," she greets me. "Back at you, babe. How was your day?" "You know, the norm. Ate too much, took a nap, listened to my dad yell at the football games. Although I got a pair of kick-ass boots. What about you?" "It's been interesting, to say the least." I tell her about everything that has happened since waking up this morning. She's a little too quiet when I finish. Your silence is killing me. I'm pissed. Thrilled to death for you, but pissed for me. Who would have thought our first college bowl game experience, you'd have a boyfriend? Who's going to be my wingman? And let's not forget, we're in Miami. It's a little early to say I have a boyfriend. Don't be an idiot. If what you're telling me is true, which I know it is, Bryce has staked claim. No going back. Open your eyes and your ears. I'm giving him a chance, but also being cautious. Whatever you say, but I know better. Can you still go out on New Year's Eve? Of course. We talk for a few more minutes about mindless things, then confirm our plans to meet in Miami. Once we're off the phone, I change into my pajamas and grab the small gift boxes in my bag. Nate and Bryce have a fire going and a football game on TV when I join them. The lights are dim, but the tree in the corner illuminates the room beautifully. Guys, I have something for you. It's nothing big, but when I saw these in one of the village shops, I thought of y'all. I hand them each a box.
Neither of them speaks when they open them, but look at me surprised. I know it's cheesy, but when I saw them, I thought we could finish the inscription when you both graduate from OCS next year. Both look at the keychains and turn them over. One side has the Navy seal, and the other has their name. I had the shop do a rush order, but left enough room for the date to be added. My brother gets to me first and lifts me up, hugging me tightly. It's awesome, Devin. Thank you. He kisses my temple, setting me down. Before I can step back, Bryce pushes him aside and lifts me again, but gently. He buries his head into my neck and nuzzles me softly. It's perfect, just like you. He leans back and stares into my eyes, then, without warning, closes his mouth over mine in a searing kiss. I forget we aren't alone, and allow him to claim my lips. We don't stop until Nate starts clearing his throat behind us, then shoves Bryce. Jesus, stop it. I told you I was supportive, but don't make me regret it. Put her the fuck down. Bryce grins against my lips and lowers me, pecking me one more time. Okay, I find my voice. What are we watching? Football, they both answer. What happened to a movie? Football is better, Nate answers, propping himself on the couch cushion. Okay, I'll read. I settle in the middle and open my iPad. It isn't long before the huge dinner, paired with wine, catches up to me and I doze off. Bryce pulls me toward him so my head is in his lap, and he strokes my hair lightly. Nate gives him shit, but he doesn't stop. I stir slightly when my parents come in, but I don't wake up. When Bryce lifts me off the couch, I finally awaken. No, I want to sleep next to the Christmas tree. On the couch, babe? No, let's make a pallet on the floor. It's so beautiful, I answer sleepily. Okay, hold on. He leaves me and moves around, gathering blankets, and grabs 2 pillows from my room. I join him as he situates himself, partly leaning against the couch. Without thinking too hard, I curl up on him, wrapping my arms around his waist and laying my head on his chest. This is nice. Considering it's the first Christmas I have you in my arms, it's better than nice. I have something for you, Devin. Can you give me your wrist? I extend my arm and feel him digging in his pocket. Then cold metal encircles my skin as he fumbles with a clasp. When he's done, I sit up and admire the beautiful charm bracelet. It's sterling silver with several intertwining links. In the middle is one single charm. It's the shape of a Christmas tree. The writing on the back is too small for me to see in the muted light, but when I reach for the lamp, he stops me. It says today's date. That's really sweet, Bryce. He watches my face and then chuckles. You don't get it. It's our first Christmas together. The tree represents the aspen pine. Realization hits me. It's a symbol, a statement, a memory. Oh my God. Yeah, babe. I'll fill up this whole bracelet with our memories. I love it. He nods and pulls me back down to his chest, running his fingers through my hair. We don't go to sleep, though. We talk quietly through the night. I fill him in on my life in Virginia, and he tells me more about the 1.5 years I missed. We don't mention Holly or anything remotely upsetting. When I fall asleep again at dawn, I know this is the best Christmas I've ever had. Chapter 5. Hold it together, hold it together, hold it together, I repeat in my head. My impending breakdown is threatening to bubble to the surface and suffocate me with tears. I have no doubt I'll hit a restroom stall as soon as I get through security and bawl, but I don't want Bryce to see. It was hard to say goodbye to everyone since we had such a wonderful vacation. It sucks being the first to leave. Sheila and Dave hugged me tightly and explained, now that things are out in the open, they expect weekly check-in calls from me. Somehow Bryce talked everyone into letting him ride with me to the airport. Throughout the whole ride, Bryce holds me close to him.
My eyes well up a few times, thinking about leaving. His eyes are sympathetic, and I know he's having a hard time, too.
Babe, we've got to talk about this before you get on a plane. I can't let you go without knowing how you feel. You need time, and that's fine, but I need to know we're in this together. Tell me I have nothing to worry about.
A part of me is still protecting myself, but deep down I know I'm a goner. It's ridiculous to deny it, but I'm still apprehensive to see how things will work out when I'm back in Virginia and he is in Knoxville. He's already admitted to screwing women because they were easy, and we haven't even gotten to second base. His reluctance to touch me is endearing but frustrating, too. Bryce, can we see how things go? I'm scared to death to fall deep again and you be tempted because we aren't together. I'm only 19. How do you know you won't meet a more experienced girl in the next few months that turns your head? Let's take it slow.
You think your age matters to me? You think a more experienced girl will turn my head? I've done some shitty things, but please don't insult my intelligence, he growls.
Bryce.
No, Devon. This thing between us is anything but casual. This is me finally going after what I've wanted for years. Get that shit out of your head. I have a long way to go to prove how much I care about you, but promise me you'll talk to me. Let me in.
You know I will. I already did.
That's all I can ask for. Now we need to talk about your deflection strategy.
Deflection strategy?
Yeah, babe. You're going to be in Miami with a ton of crazy guys. I need to know you know how to fend them off. Quinn and I spoke, and I have a feeling she's scouting for the next loser to make the list.
You talked to Quinn?
Of course. I had to let her know how serious I am and give her the chance to cuss me out. She was pretty mellow, but I'm even more aware of how deeply I hurt you. If you weren't cheering in this fucking game, I'd take you to an unknown location and spend the rest of our break making it up to you.
I don't know if I should kick you or kiss you.
Kiss is always the best answer.
I think about what he's saying and decide to go ahead and ask him the question that's bothered me since the night he took that phone call. Who did you talk to? In Aspen, you left the room when Nate and I were waiting to watch a movie.
The jeweler making your bracelet. She emailed me several charms, but none had enough room for me to say what I wanted, so she had an idea. I loved it, and then made sure it was ready for Mom to pick up the next day.
Really?
Yeah, really. Who'd you think I was talking to?
I was too scared to ask, I whisper meekly.
Never, ever be scared to ask me anything you want to know.
Okay. The driver informs us we are here, and I reluctantly slide across the seat and out of the van. Bryce follows and tells him to give us a few minutes. Once I get my boarding pass and bags checked, we walk hand in hand as far as he can go. A few tears fall down my cheeks, even though I try hard to hold them in.
Baby, don't cry. I'll see you soon. Even sooner if you get into that museum exhibit.
I'll miss you, Bryce.
Me too, babe. Call me when you land.
I lunge into him, knocking him back, but he catches me and holds on tight. I kiss him briefly, knowing any more will be my undoing. He watches me with his arms across his chest until I'm completely through security. The tears start to fall again, and he shakes his head and pulls out his phone.
No tears, Devon. This isn't goodbye,
he says hoarsely when I answer. I can't help it, I croak.
I'll see you soon, promise. Nothing changes.
Okay.
You're mine. I look forward to proving it.
Me too.
Bye, baby.
He hangs up. I find my gate and then the closest restroom, where I let the tears flow. This time, I'm not heartbroken, but completely in love. Again. Please, tell me we're done. No more, I plead with Quinn, falling back onto the bed. D-O-N-E, she answers, sitting on the other bed. But your ass is going out with me tonight. I don't care what you say. Take a cat nap, drink a Red Bull, whatever you need. I'm not spending New Year's Eve in this hotel room. Ugh, I'll get a second wind. You shower first. She nods and goes into the bathroom. The past few days have been exhausting for us. We practiced a few hours a day, but then were required at appearances around the area for fans and alumni, not to mention the Fan Fest. Cheering in the game today at Sun Life Stadium was a whole new experience. The energy and enthusiasm was off the charts. Adrenaline pumped through me the whole game, and when we won, it was an insane celebration on the field. Now I'm so tired, a night out sounds like torture. But I promised Quinn, so I force myself off the bed and dig through my suitcase for an outfit. My phone rings with the familiar ringtone, which instantly makes me smile. Hey there, I answer.
Babe, you were on TV all night. You looked incredible. Did they make your uniform skimpier for the bowl game? Bryce asks.
No, same uniform as always.
What are you doing now?
Unfortunately, picking out an outfit for tonight. Quinn is insistent we party into the new year.
Where?
I have no idea. Probably a bar somewhere close, since we only have a little time before midnight.
I don't like it. I'd prefer you stay in. I still have flashbacks to the fucking body shots in the airport.
Bryce, get over it.
No body shots, Devin, promise me.
His tone is possessive. Promise. What are you doing tonight?
Not too much. Maybe a few drinks at a bar down the road. Text me when you get back to your room. And be careful.
Okay. You too.
Always.
He hangs up and I stare at the phone. We really need to have a talk about his etiquette. Shower's all yours. Hurry up. Quinn comes out with a trail of steam following her. She inspects the outfit I laid on the bed and nods her head in approval, then waves her hand at me to hurry. When we're both dressed, and Quinn has found out where to meet everyone, we head downstairs. Several heads turn to stare as we wait for a cab, but none of them remotely compare to Bryce. For the 100th time since leaving Colorado, I realize I'm screwed. When we get to the club, it's packed. People line the streets waiting for entry, and the outdoor bar is crowded with bodies everywhere. Quinn asks the bouncer if our names are on the VIP list since our friends came earlier. He nods and lets us in, pointing to a sectioned-off area, not even asking for our IDs. We join a group of people we know in the roped area. A waitress brings us our drinks, and it's clear we're the most sober of the group. I decline when invited for body shots, avoiding Quinn's hard stare. A few of us head to the dance floor where bodies close in on us, gyrating to the beat of the music. I don't turn around when a guy grabs me from behind and starts grinding lightly. It's not seductive in any way, just a friendly dance. One song leads into the next, and Quinn joins me, dancing on my front. The guy behind me moves away, and Quinn stops moving altogether. Her eyes grow wide, and she shakes her head, indicating I turn around. When I do, my heart stops. Bryce is standing behind me, with his arms crossed, looking ready to kill. I ignore his fury and squeal, hopping into his arms. He stumbles back slightly, but catches me and lifts me up his body. My legs wrap around his waist, and I bury my face in his neck. Is it really you?
I better be the only guy you greet this way, he hisses.
Leaning back, I cup his cheeks and kiss him quickly, then rest my forehead against his. You are.
You realize I want to punch the dickhead that was grinding on your ass, right?
You have turned into a total caveman. Quinn swats his arm.
Yep, complete and utter overprotective ape. Don't like seeing some douche with an obvious hard-on rubbing on my girl.
Well, how would you feel to know anyone standing behind Devin right now can practically see her whole ass the way you're holding her? I unlatch my legs and scramble to get down, adjusting my dress. Heat fills Bryce's eyes as Quinn bursts into laughter. She bends over, holding her stomach, which makes me giggle too. He looks between us like we're crazy, then tugs us both off the dance floor to our sectioned area. The booths are mostly empty, but the tables are set up with chilling champagne. Okay, I'm long overdue for a proper greeting. Quinn stretches her arms and Bryce embraces her, kissing her cheek.
It's been a long time, Quinn. Good to see you.
You too. When did you become so hot? Quinn! Heat creeps up my cheeks. Seriously, he's fucking built. Tell me, Bryce, do you have a 6-pack or an 8-pack? I cringe from humiliation and slink into the booth.
I'll let Devin answer that for you.
He winks and sits close, pulling me into his lap. No way. She can't be a proper wingman if she's wrapped up in your arms. It just doesn't work. She shakes her finger at us, clearly not approving of our loving position.
Her duties are over tonight.
Devin, she whines, begging with her eyes. Bryce's grip on my hip gets tighter, and I throw my head back and laugh. Quinn, you don't need me. The guy in the navy sweater is practically panting. I point to the guy at the bar, staring at her. She glances and then smiles back at me, winking. Okay, see you two later. She waves slightly and walks to the bar. When she's gone, I turn my attention back to Bryce. His intense stare sends a chill down my body. I can't believe you're here.
I couldn't stay away. It was hard enough dropping you off at the airport with no definite plans to see you again. But when you started crying, it broke me. I made arrangements that day.
When did you get here?
Earlier today. I came to the game, although I can't tell you anything about it. My eyes were on you the whole time.
Why didn't you tell me?
I wanted to surprise you.
How'd you find me?
Babe, I'll always find you. But this was easy. Your mom gave me your hotel information. Finding you in this bar was luck. I followed some of your friends I saw in the lobby. I tried to get to your room before you left, but didn't make it in time. When I called you earlier, my cab was stuck in a traffic jam. Getting to you tonight was a little harder because of the line, but the bouncer is former Navy. He let me in when I explained the situation.
How long are you here?
2 days, the same as you.
I can't believe you did this.
I'd do anything for you. But we need to talk about that deflection strategy I mentioned before. Having other men ogle you is out of my control, but you need to figure out a way to deter them. Poor guy tonight looked like I pissed in his Cheerios when I tapped on his shoulder and told him to move.
You're very possessive.
When it comes to you, I'll do what it takes.
The sincerity in his voice causes my heart to swell, and I lean in, soaking in his closeness. Our lips touch delicately at first, teasing each other, but as soon as I nip at his bottom lip, he groans and takes over. Our tongues dance in rhythm. His hands tangle in my hair, gripping my scalp tight, holding me close. I can feel his heartbeat against my chest, racing. In this moment, it is only us. The pumping of the music is silenced, the strobe lights disappear, and the vibrations from the dancing around us still. The kiss consumes us, confirming what I already know. Bryce Randolph is still the man of my dreams. Heat pools at my core, and I cross my legs tightly to try to control the pulsing need. My movement rubs me against his bulging erection, which sends a shock through my body. He stills, but I continue squirming in his lap. He pulls back slightly, pecking and nipping my swollen lips.
You have to stop.
Why? I ask breathlessly.
Because there are certain things a man prides himself on, and you're testing me.
How am I testing you? His eyes meet mine and soften.
God, I love your innocence. You're testing me because it's not cool to blow my load in my pants, which is what was going to happen if you kept grinding against me.
A giggle escapes, and I slowly rotate my hips on his lap one more time. I'm not that innocent, Bryce. He's not going to make the loser list, is he? Quinn interrupts us, smirking. Not tonight, I answer her, and try to hold a serious expression, but it's useless. Bryce's chest shakes against my back until he can't hold it in, laughing out loud. We join until tears stream down my cheeks. The guy to Quinn's right watches us with a grin on his face, clearly amused at our inside joke. Once we compose ourselves, she introduces Dean to us, and we all shake hands before I pour everyone a glass of champagne. The conversation is light and easy until the lights flash, indicating 5 minutes to midnight. We take our drinks and join the crowd at the edge of the dance floor, watching the celebration in Times Square on the large screens around the room. Once the countdown starts, Bryce pulls my back to him and nuzzles the sensitive spot below my ear. I lose concentration and forget to actually cheer as the clock strikes midnight, and balloons and confetti fall from the ceiling. His hands twist my hips until we're facing each other, and he captures my mouth in a scorching kiss. We pull apart when Quinn taps us on the shoulder and clears her throat loudly. She smiles at both of us, and we clink glasses, downing the champagne in one gulp. Okay, now it's time to party. She raises her arms in the air and motions to the waitress who is carrying a tray of shots.
Babe, how long do we need to stay? I'd like to have a private celebration, Bryce murmurs.
I can't leave Quinn. Never leave a woman behind.
She's primed to go. We could be here all night.
I'll give her a curfew. Can you handle a few hours?
You gonna dance with me?
Absolutely.
Then yeah, I can deal. We'll find a way for you to make it up to me.
Where are you staying? A sly grin slides across his face.
Same hotel, 1 floor up. As soon as we get back tonight, I want you moving your stuff into my room.
Absolutely. His smile widens and he leans in close.
No parents in the house with us, no sneaking out early in the morning. You and me, with no interruptions. How does that sound?
Desire floods my body, and when our gazes meet, he sees it. His hand reaches for mine, and he leads me to the crowded dance floor. Chapter 6. Sunshine warms my face and I crack open one eye, blinded by brightness. Swift movement shakes the bed slightly, and then the room is bathed in darkness again. Strong arms slide around my waist as Bryce situates himself against my back. His breathing evens out, indicating he's fallen back asleep. My mind replays through the events of last night. We finally talked Quinn into leaving around 2 a.m. Bryce helped pack my bags, and I followed him to his room. Once we got here, I changed into my pajamas, washed my face, and gave myself a pep talk. Bryce hadn't pressured me at all, but anticipation burned through me. I'm not entirely inexperienced, but I also don't have a great track record, hence the loser list. When I walked out of the bathroom, Bryce had changed into athletic shorts and was waiting for me on the balcony. I gasped at the sight of him. It had been a long time since I'd seen him shirtless, but nothing could have prepared me. Moonlight spread across the small space, allowing me to see every ridge and plane that contoured his stomach, chest, and shoulders. His biceps bulged as he braced himself against the railing. Hi. My voice was barely audible. His eyes raked over my simple shorts and tank, and he pushed back, stalking to me.
Hi yourself.
Without asking, I ran my hands over every inch of exposed skin, stopping at his waist. His breath hitched a few times, but he never stopped me. His hand cupped my chin, and he lifted my face to his, kissing me sweetly and softly. After a few minutes, he sat us down facing the ocean. I leaned into him, settling my head against his chest, listening to the beat of his heart. When I fell asleep, he brought me to bed and tucked me in tight, joining me a few minutes later and pulling me close. I slept soundly until that sliver of light hit me this morning. Quietly rolling away from him, I go to the bathroom. Once my teeth are brushed and face washed, I check my phone for any missed calls or messages. My parents sent a quick note saying Happy New Year's, but nothing else. When I open the bathroom door, Bryce is propped on the pillows with his hands linked behind his head. His eyes rake over me, causing a shudder. We look at each other for a minute before I make my way back to the bed and curl into him, settling in the crevice of his shoulder. My lips touch his neck, and I nip lightly before wrapping my arms around him. Good morning.
Babe.
Yeah?
Look at me.
I look into his deep blue eyes, which have turned the shade of sapphire, and all of my nerves relax. We both smile before he kisses me and moves me on top of him. There's no way to ignore the bulge that hits my hip, and I roll into him.
Devon,
he groans. What? I can't help it.
Try.
Sorry. I try to roll away, but he holds me in place.
Never be sorry with me, ever. I'm the one who will spend the rest of my life wondering what could have happened if I'd have spoken up.
What do you mean?
I may have told you the last 2 weeks how much you mean to me, but the time we lost fucking tears me up. I'm thrilled with the life you have and the accomplishments you've made. I have so much regret it kills me.
How can we get past it?
I need to know you forgive me. Really forgive me. See where I was coming from and know I was thinking about what was best for you.
I want to quit this back and forth, and in my mind I know there's only one way to let go. Then we need to talk about what happened. All of it, including my heartbreak. I've heard your story, but you need to hear mine too. The good, the bad, the ugly. My road to healing was filled with mistakes and stupidity. His body tenses, but he nods and leans into me for another kiss.
This is it, sweet girl. After today, we let it go. I hear you out, listen to what I already suspect. You got it?
Yes, I whisper.
I already told you I have a plan, and you are 100% a part of it. When we leave Miami, we're a couple, a team. We move past everything. Can you do that?
Can you?
Devon, I already have. If I thought it was right, you'd be naked underneath me screaming my name, but I'm not ready for that until you promise you're okay.
His words send a rush of heat through me, and I push into his hips, which cause a guttural groan.
Baby, you have to stop. I can't take it.
Why do you want me to stop? Isn't a sexual relationship just as important as an emotional one?
Yeah, but I already know we'll be off the charts. I'm trying to do the right thing.
For who?
For us. I need to know how deep the emotional wounds go for both of us. Tell me what you think I need to know.
I sigh, but open the floodgates, telling him everything, going back to the day of my graduation until the day I saw him on the plane. I tell him about my failed dates, the guys I semi-crushed on, and the moments of weakness I would bring out pictures of us all growing up. Several times he squeezes me against him, almost too tight, but I don't stop him. A part of me is disappointed with myself for being so open, so trusting. But I've always been an open book. No sense holding back now. Even if he leaves and screws me over again, I'll know he heard the truth. When I'm done, a weight is lifted off my shoulders, but he's tight and unreadable. His relaxed demeanor disappears and is replaced with tension. Bryce?
Give me a minute. I'm trying to find a way not to kick my own ass and at the same time reel in my emotions.
We stay silent, and guilt starts to bubble up. He already had a few shitty years. How dare I unload on him so insensitively? I'm sorry, I should have been more.
I told you to never be sorry with me. I'm a fucking shithead. Your pain guts me.
I was young and in love with a fairy tale.
You'll get your fairy tale.
I'm still young, Bryce. I have some growing to do.
And you'll do it with me.
How can you be so certain? You have a lot ahead of you. Officer candidate school, training, who knows what else. You don't need to make empty promises.
Devin Marie Harris, my promises to you will never be empty. How about you? Are you ready to give up the ever-growing loser list?
Yes, but swear to God, you better not screw around on me. If you ever think we're not working, tell me.
Is that what you're scared of? Me screwing around?
Well, yeah.
You have absolutely no reason in the world to ever worry. Thought I told you that leaving Aspen. I may be an asshole, but I'm not a cheater. And for the first time in my life, everything I need is right here. Seriously. I'm crazy about you.
Sweet talker. We'll see. I cuddle my head into his shoulder and close my eyes, ready to fall back asleep. The shrill sound of Taylor Swift's Shake It Off fills the room, and I jump, almost falling off the bed. Bryce catches me with a smirk on his face. Thoughts of strangling Quinn come to mind for setting that as her ringtone. What? I shout. No need to shout. Are you and Loverboy up? Yes, I was actually about to fall back asleep. What's up? I yawn. No sleep. We're going to the beach. Meet me in the room in 20 minutes. Quinn, I'm so tired, I whine. Bitch, suck it up. Bring your man candy along. Dean is meeting us down there. Okay, we'll see you there. But promise me you'll never refer to Bryce as man candy again. It freaks me out. Wear the blue bikini, and I'll think about not embarrassing you. She hangs up. Bryce walks up and opens the drapes, exposing the view of the ocean and shoreline.
We going to the beach?
He questions. Looks like it.
Any chance you packed a one-piece or full bodysuit?
No, it's a nude beach. I watch his face turn from tan to red to almost purple before I hunch over laughing. Just kidding.
You'll pay for that.
I look forward to it. The beach is already crowded when we walk down, but we're able to get the last cabana. Bryce's eyes grow wide when I remove my cover-up, but he doesn't say anything, just shakes his head. He and Dean decide to join in a game of beach volleyball, but before he leaves, he lifts me up and gives me a long, deep kiss. I lose myself in him and forget we are on a public beach.
That should do until I get back.
He pecks my forehead and leaves me in a daze. Thank God! I've been dying to get you alone since he surprised you in the bar last night. Time to spill. Quinn cocks one eyebrow at me, and I tell her everything. Jesus. Less than 3 weeks ago, I left you in an airport on the way to a family Christmas. Now you have a boyfriend who is planning a long-term strategy? How the hell does this happen? Not to mention, it's the same guy you've been in love with since you were in middle school. Not sure how it happened, but I'm not questioning it. No, but what happens now? We go back to school and finish the semester. Maybe I can go home or have Bryce come to Virginia for spring break. Are you going to be okay with the distance? I have no choice. If I want to be with him, that's the trade-off. What about after he and Nate graduate? That's where things get a little shady. They'll both have to go to officer candidate school in Rhode Island for at least 12 weeks. After that, I don't know. I think it's safe to say he's into you, Devin. Deep. OCS won't change that. So can we discuss something serious? Of course. I look at her nervously. If this thing heads down the aisle, promise me you won't make me wear a pink bridesmaid's dress. Actually, no pastels at all. Quinn, that's your serious discussion? You're insane. A little soon to talk about that. Besides, I'm only 19. Yes, but you'll be 20 soon. Your parents got married young. Stop. We aren't talking about this at all. You'll jinx it before it even has a chance to start. Okay, but I reserve the right to bring it up again when I think things are that serious. Fine. I huff and roll over. Her chuckle irritates me, but I smile as I doze off. Cold water dripping down my arm wakes me. The cabana bed dips and I roll into a rock-hard, wet body. Bryce, what are you doing? Staking claim. His arm slips under my waist, and he pulls me half on top of him. We're at the beach, in public. I know. He kisses along my jawline. There's a question I've been dying to ask, but it's really rude. Try me. How did you afford all this? The flight to Colorado, the flight here, the oceanfront room. I've got a decent savings account. The Navy Reserves pays a little, and I've been doing some work in Knoxville, bouncing at a bar a few nights a week. You work in a bar? Yeah. Pays decent, and they work with my schedule. I can't believe I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me? It never came up. Anything else I don't know? Nothing really. I think you know the most important things. A feeling of unease comes over me and my eyes fill with tears. I try to will them back, but they escape and roll down my cheeks, dropping on his chest. Hey now, what's going on? He lifts my chin, giving me no choice but to meet his gaze. I just realized how much of your life I missed. I didn't even know you had a part-time job. For a minute, my mind wandered back to when I knew everything. Your classes, your schedule, everything. Baby, quit it. Remember, we let it all go. You'll know now and every day going forward. I nod to agree with him and lean forward to kiss him lightly. So, let's talk about tomorrow night. What are we doing? It's a surprise, and I think you'll enjoy it. I enjoy anything when I'm with you, I say softly, laying my head back on his chest. I'm counting on it. Chapter 7. I can't believe you did this, I squeal, taking in the beauty of the boat in front of me. Believe it. Besides the captain, it's just us for the next 2 hours. He takes my hand and leads me to the front of the boat where a candlelight picnic is set up. He pours me a glass of wine and gets a beer for himself, then sets out the food, making us plates. The boat gently moves out of the slip and into the intercoastal, leaving the lights of the marina and city behind us. Even though I've tried not to think about it, sadness overcomes me. We're leaving in the morning, and I don't know when I'll see Bryce again. With the exception of the few days I was in Miami without him, we've been together for almost 14 days. It's going to be hard to be so far away, especially now. Last night boosted my confidence further that Bryce is sincere in his quest for a serious relationship. He didn't let go of me all night and took every opportunity to kiss me lightly or whisper sweet things. Quinn rolled her eyes all night but smiled as she did so. The only thing that is driving me crazy is his reluctance to go further than kissing me. I'm not saying we need to fuck like rabbits, but he stops me every time things get heated. He crawls into bed shirtless at night and pulls me to him, kissing me until my mind is mush. But when I run my fingertips down his defined abs, he stops me, repositioning us. Besides grabbing my ass, he hasn't made one move to touch me intimately. My body is about to internally combust. I've never felt this much sexual tension before. What are you thinking about? His smooth voice draws me out of my thoughts. Nothing, I lie. You're frowning. I know something's going on in your head. Trying to come up with a good excuse, I smile at him. It doesn't work. Tell me. I'm sad we leave tomorrow.
Probably true, but that's not it.
I'm going to miss you terribly.
Hopefully that's true, but it's still not what's bothering you.
Ugh, I groan. I'm sexually frustrated, okay? His face changes from concerned to smug, then serious.
Devon, have you ever had sex?
Oh, shit. How embarrassing. I knew we'd have to talk about this at some point, but my stupid mouth forced it. Well, kinda. His features change from soft to tense immediately. His body posture goes rigid.
What do you mean, kinda?
I'm not exactly experienced, but I've been with someone before.
Fucking who? He growls.
A guy I was dating for a few weeks.
A few weeks? Fucking few weeks? You were willing to give yourself over to some asshole after a few dates?
Hey, quit yelling at me. His nostrils flare, and his face is an alarming shade of red. His loud breathing has me concerned, and when I try to look at him, he turns from me. Why are you so mad? You almost had a baby with another woman.
Because you are fucking mine. The thought of anyone touching you infuriates me. He seethes.
Bryce, let it go. You asked.
You deserve everything in the world handed to you. I'm busting my ass to make sure that happens.
The pain in his voice is evident. His words melt me inside. He's truly upset. The last thing I want to do is ruin tonight. I slide my food over and move quickly to straddle his lap. Wrapping my arms around his shoulders, I lean into him, brushing my breasts against him lightly. Bryce, I know you don't want to hear about it, but it wasn't a memorable experience. It was over before it started. I grind against him, eliciting a low moan.
Don't want to hear about it, Devon.
Okay. I go still against him and wonder if I've gone too far.
Babe, give me a second. My mind and body are raging, but for two totally separate reasons. My head hurts thinking about you with someone else. My dick jumps anytime you touch me.
A sense of boldness takes over, and I position myself so my legs are wrapped around his waist. Before he tells me to stop, I cover his mouth with mine and pour all my energy into kissing him. His body relaxes and he gives in, running his fingertips lightly over the bare skin of my thighs. My dress slides up, and I feel his straining cock against the silk of my underwear. Sparks shoot through me as desire pools in my stomach.
Devon, please stop. You have to quit.
I don't want to, I moan against his lips.
I don't want to either, but I'm not keen on the boat captain watching. We're not alone.
Oh, shit, I forgot. I scramble off him and fix my dress. Heat creeps up my cheeks, and I turn back slightly, looking for the old man that was on the boat when we arrived.
We're not moving. He probably went downstairs to give us some privacy.
How embarrassing. He gets up and offers his hand to help me stand. Leading us to the railing, he positions me in front of him and rests his hands on my hips. We watch the sunset silently. The boat starts moving again.
Devon, Bryce whispers in my ear.
Hmm?
Don't be embarrassed, babe. You're fucking hot. My job as your boyfriend is to take care of you. I haven't done a good job of that. I promise you tonight we'll take care of your sexual frustration.
Butterflies swarm in my stomach. Fucking finally. If he doesn't hurry and get us in the room, I'm going to scream. If I had my choice, we would have run back to the hotel from the marina, but Bryce decides to stroll leisurely, holding my hand as if we have all the time in the world. He obviously doesn't know how frustrated I am. Bryce, where's your freaking key? I whine as he looks through his wallet.
In a hurry, baby girl? He smirks.
Oh, now he wants to be a smartass? Two can play this game. I start to squirm and dance around. Well, I have to use the restroom, so yeah, I'm in a hurry. I lie and smile sweetly. Darkness clouds his face, and he slips the key into the reader and then pushes the door open with force. I slide past him, but don't get more than a few feet when his hand wraps around my wrist and tugs me to him. Before I know what's happening, he has me pressed up against the door, lifting me so my legs circle his waist. My hands clutch at his shirt, and when our eyes lock, my breath hitches. His gaze is full of pure lust. "Bryce," I groan.
"No, babe. No talking. I've been dreaming about touching you for longer than you can imagine. Feeling your body against mine, hearing you moan, watching you come. Kissing, licking, claiming every inch of your body, teaching you how a real man can take care of you. I'm not going to make love to you tonight, but I am going to worship you."
His hands grip my ass and I push into him, silently begging for him to touch me. One hand slides against the silky material of my panties and pulls gently at the side. It snaps easily, and he does the same thing with the other side. The material falls to the floor between us, and I inhale deeply, a desperate need building from inside. I can't remember a time my body craved anything as much as his touch. "Please," I whimper.
"Please what?"
"Touch me."
"With fucking pleasure."
His hand goes between my legs, and his fingers find my slick center easily. He uses one finger and glides it along the line of my seam, barely inserting. My core coils with anticipation, waiting for him to slip it inside.
"So wet. Is this for me, Devon?"
"Yes, only you." He slides one finger in, followed by another, and I moan, throwing my head back against the door. My hips thrust into his hand. He moves his thumb to my clit and rubs it in slow circles. My nipples strain against the fabric of my dress, aching to be touched. He leans into me, biting down on my neck and then kissing the sting away. Sensations start at the pit of my stomach, and I shamelessly purr. He moves his finger expertly inside me, and when he hits my G-spot, I scream out. The orgasm erupts, and I clutch onto him, mumbling incoherently as the fiery explosion sends tingling through my veins.
"That was the sexiest thing I've ever heard,"
he says against my skin. I drop my head forward in the crook of his neck and try to catch my breath. Air hits my bare ass, and I realize we're moving. Bryce lays me down gently on the bed and moves down to take off my shoes. Finally, I open my eyes and watch him pull his shirt out of his jeans and kick off his own shoes. "Let me." I sit up on my knees and reach for him. Lifting his shirt, I lick my lips at the sight in front of me. Throwing the shirt to the side, I lean in and kiss a trail across his chest from shoulder to shoulder, and then down until I reach his belly button. With shaky hands, I undo his belt and unbutton his pants. He cups my chin and gently urges me to look up. When our eyes meet, my pulse races. His gaze is filled with passion and desire. I rise up to kiss him, lightly running my lips across his before slipping my tongue inside. The urgency from earlier returns as my heart slams in my chest. Years of longing and loving this man flash through my mind, and I can no longer wait. His hand covers mine as I lower his zipper and feel the straining bulge against the waistband of his boxers. His jeans fall to the ground and he kicks them off. He breaks our kiss for a second and pulls my dress over my head, his eyes growing wide when he sees I'm not wearing a bra. Then he goes right back to kissing me. Keeping our lips locked, he leans into me, pushing me back on the bed. The warmth of his skin covers my naked body, and the familiar ache returns. His fingers thread through mine, and he raises my arms over my head. I wrap my legs around his waist and lock my ankles, pulling his hips to mine. The cotton material of his boxers is a flimsy barrier between us. With no shame, I rock against him, searching for relief.
He groans and breaks away, resting his forehead against mine. Baby, stop.
He tries to move back, but I tighten my thighs. No. His hands release mine, and he pushes up, hovering over me. His eyes rake down until they land on my chest. I look down to see my nipples tight and pebbled. He swivels his hips slightly, hitting me exactly where I need. When I groan, he lowers himself and takes one aching nipple into his mouth, sucking hard. My mind and body both swirl in pleasure. Arching into him, I loosen my grip around his waist. He takes advantage and spreads his thighs, unlatching me from him. The smug grin he gives me briefly shakes me out of my euphoria, but his mouth goes back to my chest, sucking and massaging each of my nipples. He kisses down my breastbone and slowly lowers himself.
Jesus Christ, you're almost bare, so wet, waiting for me to taste you.
His words send a shiver up my spine. When his lips touch my clit, I whimper. His tongue curls into me and I buck my hips. He grabs my ass to hold me still and then swirls his tongue inside of me. One finger slides inside and I grip the comforter, squirming. My release builds slowly. When his thumb touches my clit, my vision becomes blurry and I squeeze my eyes shut, feeling the tingling sensations run through me. His mouth expertly works me into a frenzy. When the orgasm hits, I chant his name loudly. Bryce kisses a trail back up my body and nuzzles his face in my neck.
So fucking beautiful.
We lay still for a minute, clinging to each other. His raging length is pressed into my hip, and I know it has to be painful. Without warning, I use all my strength to twist and roll, trapping him under me. The surprised look on his face makes me smile. Bryce, I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm not as innocent as you think. He opens his mouth to speak, but I cover it with my fingertips. You see, as your girlfriend, it's my job to take care of you, too. First things first, the boxers have to go. I scoot down his body and pull the offending material with me. When they are past his knees, he shakes them off. Seeing Bryce naked is better than I ever could have imagined. It's obvious how physically fit he is, but his body is made for worshipping. As soon as my eyes land on his cock, I lick my lips. He's hard and thick, his length reaching his navel. I look up to find him smirking.
See something you like, baby?
There's a teasing glint in his eyes. I crawl up his body and kiss along his exposed skin until I reach his mouth, using my tongue to outline his lips. Yeah, I see something I like. I grind against him, knowing my core is still soaked and he feels it. I slowly push myself back down until I'm eye level with the tip of his dick. It's glistening, and when I lick the slit, Bryce groans loudly. His hands move to my scalp where he clasps tightly.
Devin, you don't have to do this,
he pants. I want to taste you. Lowering my lips back down, I take as much of him as possible. His grip tightens when I use my tongue to circle his head and nip lightly. His low moans become louder, so I increase my suction, bringing him all the way in my mouth and hitting the back of my throat. My hand moves between his legs and squeezes his balls firmly. Bryce jackknifes up, grabbing my shoulders, trying to move me, but I don't budge. His hips buck into my mouth 3 more times until he yells my name and falls back on the bed. Hot, salty liquid coats my throat, and I swallow him greedily, continuing to massage his balls. When I know he's through, my lips slide off him, making sure to suck his crown one last time. He's still breathing heavily when I slink up his body. It's my turn to nuzzle into his neck and listen to him regain his breath. Both arms lock around me, and he kisses my temple lightly.
I'm fucking screwed,
he says. Why?
because I just got the best blowjob of my life, which makes me fucking thrilled, but I'm scared to know how you learned to do that.
A giggle escapes and I lean up, bracing myself on his chest. That was not a result of the loser list, Bryce. That comes from hours of reading smut romance and Cosmopolitan. And Quinn and I may have researched a few things online, purely for educational purposes. Relief flashes on his face and he pulls me close, rolling us so we can scoot under the covers.
So, is my girlfriend feeling a little better? Sexual tension eliminated?
Huh, maybe. You think you've got a few more magic moves before we leave in the morning? We need to stockpile my orgasms until spring break, which is 2 months away. His face scrunches at me.
Why spring break?
I figured that was the earliest we'd see each other unless my project gets picked up for the exhibit.
No, babe. We'll figure something out.
I nod my head in agreement and cuddle up as close as possible. We both fall asleep somewhere around 3 in the morning, after working out the rest of our sexual frustration. Chapter 8. 14 days. That's how long it took me to turn back into a lovesick fool. The 14 days Bryce and I spent together solidified my mind, body, and soul's infatuation with him. I'd like to say it was just being in his presence that got under my skin, but that would be a lie. True to his word, he tells me and shows me every day how much I mean to him. He bought an iPad so we could FaceTime every night before bed. Even when he is working, he'll take a break for 10 minutes when I text him I'm tired. Quinn constantly makes fun of us, and her favorite word to describe Bryce is pussy whipped. But he doesn't care. I, in turn, make fun of her as well. Her and Dean still keep in touch, and she constantly talks about him. I learned he lives in Atlanta, but was in Miami to visit friends. He's a first-year lawyer with a small firm. Apparently he's a brainiac and made it through college and law school in 5 years. He's 23 and seems like a nice guy. It's been 4 weeks since Bryce and I left each other in Miami. The winter weather has been awful in Virginia, and flights have been difficult. I can tell he's getting aggravated, but there's nothing we can do about it. Quinn and I have similar schedules again this semester, and today we are meeting with our previous world journalism professor. Several students were invited to a luncheon to discuss the pieces he submitted for the local show. When we walk into the conference room, it's already crowded with several people I recognize from class. Professor Davis greets everyone cheerily when he arrives and suggests we get our plates so the meeting can start. As we file through the buffet line, he sets up his computer to the media screen and starts a rolling slideshow. Pictures fill the screen with what I assume is all our individual work. My photos come through last, and the slides start over. Once we're all seated, Professor Davis stands at the end of the table and stops the show, smiling at each of us individually.
All of you in this room allowed me to submit your projects to a local contest that was focused on world journalism. The panel of judges intended to bring awareness to different social subjects. I was recently given the news. All of your work was chosen to be included in the exhibit in Washington, D.C.
His excitement is contagious, and we all cheer along with him. Quinn and I hug tight and high-five our peers. It takes 5 minutes for the room to calm down.
This exhibit has been in the works for quite some time, so your contributions are being added last minute. As I explained when I asked about submitting your work, there is no compensation. However, you can have as many tickets to the event as you wish. You're invited to a cocktail party to meet the other journalists, too. The event is scheduled to run from February 9th through April 1st. I have information packets for each of you.
His PA passes around folders for each of us to review. My heart falls when I see the cocktail party scheduled for Friday the 13th. I wanted to spend Valentine's Day with Bryce. But the next page has 2 tickets to the party stapled to the invitation. The rest of the packet is basically an informative guide and a few forms we must fill out to release our work for the allotted amount of time.
Now, let's take a look at the works you rising stars submitted. If you don't mind, when I get to your piece, please tell the others a little about the subject.
Professor Davis starts the slideshow over and introduces the first picture. I type a quick text to Bryce, hoping he'll be able to work his magic again. Me. Great news. Can you get here February 13th through 15th? Friday night cocktail party in D.C. Call you soon with details. Bryce.
D.C. You did it. Your piece made the exhibit. Congrats.
Me. Thanks. Don't say anything to Nate. Need to call parents and him.
Bryce. I'll be there no matter what. So proud.
Me. Talk soon. XOXO. Before we even get to my and Quinn's projects, I'm in tears. The stories that go along with the pictures are heartbreaking and uplifting. One particular piece of work is a story about a wife reuniting with her husband as he departs his ship in Norfolk. The picture captures both of them coming toward each other as his boots hit the ground. I've seen thousands of shots of military families reunited, but the angle and editing on this specific one is incredible. By the time our luncheon is over, I'm humbled and proud to be with such talented people.
Tell me about some of the other works, Bryce asks me during our nightly FaceTime.
I'd rather you see them yourself. My explanations will never do them justice. The talent in that room today was unbelievable. I can't believe Quinn and I are involved.
Babe, you're incredible. Never doubt yourself. Tell me about the rest of the day.
Well, my mom cried and cheered at the same time. My dad was really sweet. They're coming up the last weekend of the month and staying a few extra days. Nate's going to try to come with them, but we'll see.
Yeah, Nate told me that too. Were they upset about not coming opening weekend?
No. Once I told my mom about the opening party. She understood I wanted you to be my date, and it's our first Valentine's together.
Speaking of that, I got Thursday night and Monday morning flights. That okay?
Perfect. I can't wait. Oh, and I'm going to try to get us a room on Friday night. It's a long drive home that late. Bryce goes silent, and his face twists on the screen. Or not. You don't look too thrilled. My voice is laced with disappointment.
Damn it, Devon.
What?
Babe, you don't need to worry about a room. It's taken care of. It was going to be a surprise.
A smile spreads across my face, and I giggle. Sorry, but I'm surprised now. Does that count? How the hell did you do all this so quickly? He turns his head, avoiding me, but when he turns back, he grins.
Let's just say I didn't have to plan all this today. The flight was already booked.
You sneak.
I'm selfish, really. The trip was planned with my interests in mind.
Really? What interests are those?
Let's just say I need my girlfriend to take care of my sexual frustration.
He wags his eyebrows at me. Ugh, tell me about it. I'm very frustrated.
Just 2 more weeks.
Have you thought any more about spring break? Last week, we discovered our breaks are a week apart.
I think you should do something fun with Quinn on yours, but I'll drive up and spend the week with you on mine. I think Nate wants to come so we can drive over to Norfolk to see the base for a day or 2.
Don't you want me to come down to Knoxville while I have some time off? His face pales, and I can tell immediately something's wrong. Bryce? What's going on? Dread washes through me.
Before I tell you, don't get worried or upset. Nothing has changed on my part. I'm crazy about you.
Fucking tell me.
Holly's back at UT. She's not technically enrolled in school, but she's back.
What?
She's living with some of her sorority sisters and going back summer semester. She only has a few credits left and she wants to graduate from UT.
Sounds like you know a lot about her return.
Devon, don't be upset. She means nothing to me. She showed up here last week, surprised the hell out of Nate and me. She wanted to talk. I didn't let her into the apartment, but met her down at her car. She was pissed at first, but when I explained I was seeing someone, she understood.
Why'd she come to you? I thought it was over like 11 months ago.
No, babe, it was over long before that. I told you. But she still feels a connection to me. Not sure what I can do about it.
Is that healthy, Bryce? She lost the baby so long ago. She's a young girl with her whole life in front of her. Why is she trying to keep a connection with you if you cut it off?
Kindness.
Kindness? I question.
Yeah. I never got into any details because they aren't important, but she is distant from her family. Even though she went home to Utah, it wasn't her first choice. She told me I was always kind to her, and that's why she fell in love with me.
She told you she was in love with you?
Let's not talk about this anymore. You're getting upset over nothing.
Nothing? You think I'm not going to worry? It was easy to move past this when she was across the country, but now she's back and still in love with you? How do you think that makes me feel? You slept with her, Bryce. You won't even sleep with me. I realize I'm yelling a little too late when Quinn storms in. She narrows her eyes, then looks at my screen. Bryce Randolph, did you just fuck up? She glares, and he shakes his head, resigned.
Not on my life. I'd never do anything to jeopardize my and Devin's relationship. Can we have some privacy again?
She looks between me and the iPad and leaves, but raises her wrist in a drinking motion, telling me there will be wine waiting when I hang up.
Dev, you have to trust me here. I'm trying to be honest. I planned on telling you in 2 weeks. There is nothing to worry about.
Easy for you to say. Your ex is now back on campus and loves you.
Don't get me started. You have plenty of exes on your campus.
Oh my God, you have nothing to worry about with me.
I'd like to believe that, considering one guy jacked off to your back, another couldn't even find your pussy, and your only sexual experience is non-memorable.
I want to be mad, so mad, but instead I burst into laughter. He's so right. I know the tension is broken when he smiles and laughs along with me. You heard everything, huh?
I tried to stop myself, but couldn't.
He blushes a little. Can I just tell you, hearing the word pussy from your lips is sexy? His face changes, and he gives me a lopsided grin.
You like dirty talk, huh?
Maybe a little. I like most things with you, but like I said, I'm a romance queen and some things turn me on.
Give me an example.
How did we go from your ex-girlfriend to my sexual fantasies?
We're talking about fantasies now? I was looking for examples.
Ugh, you are frustrating.
Not with you, baby girl. I just want to know what you want.
You're gonna have to wait. Now, instead of going to bed, I'm going to have a glass of wine with Quinn and explain why I am freaking out over your ex in town.
No, baby. You enjoy your wine and tell her how excited I am for both of your accomplishments. Don't ever doubt my affection for you. You are it. I'm crazy about you, and in less than 2 weeks, I plan to show you.
Promises, promises. I wink at him.
Good night, babe. Talk tomorrow.
I blow a kiss to the screen and end the conversation. When he logs off, I go find Quinn with a bottle of wine, waving a DVD in my face. I love my best friend. Chapter 9. I hop from one foot to the next with nervous anticipation. The flight schedule says he landed 10 minutes ago, but he hasn't shown up yet. The escalator's run down, and he's nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, the air is thick and his scent surrounds me. He's here. I try to turn around, but strong hands grab my waist and yank me into a hard body. His mouth to my ear relieves any doubt.
Looking for someone?
My excitement takes over, and I turn and jump into his arms. You! I scream, and plant my mouth firmly to his. Why didn't I see you? I huff when I break away.
Once again, strategic planning. I took the back stairs.
I missed you. I sink into him, soaking in his warmth. He holds me close a few minutes and then pulls away, kissing the tip of my nose.
Ready to go?
He asks, linking our hands together. I tug him behind me, leading us out of the terminal into my car. He caresses my hand the whole way to my place, and I purposely take the long way around campus to show him everything. I'd love to walk around tomorrow morning and give him a proper tour, but we're expecting more snow. When we get to our apartment, I show him around, making sure he knows the general layout. Once we get to my room, he whistles.
Finally, I get to see it in person and not on a screen.
He glances around and walks directly to my bookshelf.
God, these turned out good. Can I have a copy?
His eyes are glued to the 2 pictures I had framed of us from Christmas. I told him how great they were, but refused to send them to him because they are a gift for Valentine's Day. Little does he know the photographer took over 20 of us spinning, laughing, and kissing. I have all of those saved as a rotating screensaver. Yep, I'm a bit obsessed. Yeah, we'll get them printed while you're here. I try to sound nonchalant. He sets them back and comes to me, pulling one of my arms to his chest and wrapping the other around his neck.
I've missed you.
His scent surrounds us, and I sink into him, inhaling deeply. You too.
What are our plans tonight?
We have about 3 hours until Quinn gets back. Then she's going to be in complete freak-out mode about Dean flying in tomorrow for the weekend.
3 hours, huh?
He kisses a trail down my neck. Uh-huh.
Babe.
He bends down and lifts me gently, walking us to the edge of my bed.
I've really missed you.
He lowers me down and lays partially on top of me. His hard length presses against my hip, and I grind against him. Bryce, I missed you too, almost too much. His eyes meet mine, but he doesn't say anything. The longing and passion are evident in his stare. I reach down and yank my sweater off. He licks his lips and lifts off me, throwing his own sweater over his head. As he undresses, I push my jeans off. His eyes rake over my body, and he grins seductively.
I don't think I've ever appreciated black lace as much as I do right now. You're a fucking vision, Devon.
Flush creeps up my cheeks at his stare. He lies partially on his side and leans into me, claiming my mouth with his own. What started as soft and sweet turns sexual and hot. He rolls over, covering my body. Our chests are pressed so tight that I can feel his heart racing along with mine. He slowly ends the kiss and rests his forehead against my own.
Babe, you attached to this?
Huh? I question.
Bra, panties, you attached?
Not particularly. I breathe against his mouth. My head is swimming.
So, should I rip or peel them off?
You decide. He unlatches my bra and removes it slowly, licking each nipple, then travels down my body. When his mouth reaches the lace strings, he kisses each hip bone and slowly drags the material off.
I'm not gonna wait to taste you.
He kisses his way up my thighs. The first stroke of his tongue sends a jolt of electricity through me. My legs fly apart, and I welcome him. He grips my thighs and goes deeper. As his mouth works me over, I squirm, begging for release. I rock against his mouth, creating a rhythm. When he inserts a finger, my muscles tighten.
Come for me, baby.
He touches my clit gently, and I scream. Black spots cloud my vision as I drown in pleasure. I can't think straight as he kisses his way up and braces over me.
For the rest of my life, I will never get tired of hearing you scream my name.
Mm-hmm, is the only response I could muster in my orgasm-induced state.
Speechless,
he laughs. Without talking, I run my hands down his torso to the waistband of his boxers and slide them over his hips as far as I can. He helps pull them off and then props himself on his side. The sight of him naked beside me burns into my brain. He's gorgeous. I want to feel all of him, on me, in me. When I try to urge him back on top, he stops me and links our hands together, kissing my knuckles. I want you, Bryce.
I want you too, more than you'll ever know, but not tonight.
Why not? I ask, stunned.
Because it's not the right time.
What's wrong with the timing?
I have a plan, Devon. Go with me on this.
Your plan sucks, I groan. A smile spreads across his face and he lowers his mouth to nibble on my neck. Instantly my body reacts, folding into him. One hand slides around my stomach, cupping my ass, and presses me as close as possible. How long is this ban on sex going to go on? He chuckles against my skin.
Not really a timeline.
His vague response irritates me, but when I feel his thick, hard erection pressed against my hip, the irritation vanishes. Let's see if I can make you speechless, then maybe you'll rethink this plan of yours. I push back and slither down his body. Right before I take him in my mouth, our eyes lock and he grins.
Give it your best shot, baby.
Quinn's loud cursing wakes me, and I silently vow to kill her. Last night was the best night's sleep I've gotten since leaving Bryce in Miami. His naked body is curled tight around mine, and I snuggle into his warmth. After 10 minutes of trying to fall back asleep, it doesn't work. I quietly extract myself from his embrace and throw on some pajamas. The morning news is playing quietly in the living room, and Quinn is sitting on the sofa with a cup of coffee. After getting my own mug, I join her and give her a dirty look. "What?" she asks. "Your loud ass woke me up. What the hell were you yelling at?" "I did it on purpose. Apparently you were in a coma. I've been making noise for an hour trying to get you up." "Why?" "Because I need moral support before Dean's plane gets here in an hour." "An hour? I thought his flight was this afternoon." "He hopped an earlier flight." "That's good, right?" "Yeah, I'm just nervous and excited." I can understand that. I resembled a jackrabbit waiting for Bryce. "But you guys are official. I'm not sure what Dean and I are." "We've gone over this. He's obviously interested in you." "Think it would be too much to get special lingerie for Valentine's Day?" "No, as a matter of fact, I may have some for you. Looks like mine is a wasted effort." "Why?" "Bryce has put a ban on sex. Every time we get close, he stops it." "Even now?" "Apparently." "I could understand in Miami. You two had just gotten together, but now it's been like 6 weeks." "Tell me about it." "Well, let's come up with a seduction plan. Make it so he can't resist you." "I want him to want me. I've loved this guy for almost 8 years. Getting shot down really screws with my confidence. He knows I'm not a virgin, so what's the problem? Is sex? Should I wear purple or black?" Quinn's eyes grow wide as she interrupts me. She nods her head and glares over my shoulder. I turn around and see Bryce scratching his head, looking confused. He's in a pair of flannel pajama pants and nothing else, and my mouth waters at the sight. Then I inwardly panic that he overheard our conversation. His face is unreadable, but then when he smiles at me, I relax. "Morning, sleepyhead," I joke.
Why didn't you wake me?
"You were peaceful. And besides, Quinn needed me. Want me to grab you a cup of coffee?"
Nah, I'll get it.
He walks over and kisses my forehead before going to the kitchen. "Shit, do you think he heard me?" "No, but I guess we can't really come up with a seduction plan with him in the other room. I'll think on it and get back to you." She gets up. "Now, I need to get dressed and go to the airport." "Good luck. Want us to wait for you and I'll go to lunch?" "Yes, that sounds good. Thanks for helping me get my mind off Dean. Your drama is always much juicier than mine." She winks and then closes her bedroom door. Bryce comes to sit down and pulls me into him.
What are we doing today?
"Dean's coming in early, so we'll go to lunch with them later. With the traffic, I think we should leave for DC no later than 3.
So, technically, How much time do we have until we need to be ready for lunch?
Few hours.
That'll do.
He stands quickly and bends to pick me up.
I'm taking you back to bed for a proper good morning. We have 6 weeks of frustration to work on.
I like the sound of that. I giggle.
Hopefully you'll do more than like it.
He gives me a look that sends a shiver through my body. 2 hours later, I come to the conclusion that if not having sex with Bryce is this good, finally having sex will be amazing. Chapter 10. Getting to Washington took longer than we expected, and by the time we check into our hotel, there's only an hour before we have to leave. The good thing about this is I'm so rushed there's no time to get nervous. "Hey, will you help me with my zipper?" I ask, stepping into my shoes.
"Gorgeous,"
he whispers against my neck as he zips the dress. "Pretty good looking yourself." I turn to him and admire how hot he is in a classic black suit. He opted not to wear a tie and left the top buttons of his shirt open. In my opinion, he looks like he walked off the pages of a magazine.
"Stop looking at me like that or we'll be late."
Bryce helps me into my jacket and kisses my cheek softly. We meet Dean and Quinn in the lobby and then get a cab to the museum. As soon as we arrive, butterflies flutter in my stomach. I see most of the other students mingling around. Professor Davis comes over to greet us and tells us where to find the programs with the layout of the exhibit. Bryce and Dean grab us drinks, and we walk around admiring the pieces. There's a section dedicated to the student work, but in my opinion, some of our projects are just as good as the professional works.
"Quinn told me about her story and picture, but tell me about yours," Dean asks me.
The day we came to D.C., I passed a woman and her children sitting in an alley, crying. The woman was trying to soothe her 2 small children. They were hesitant of me at first, but once I explained I was a student working on a project, they relaxed. The reason I chose this picture was the tear-stained cheeks and look of pain on the mother's face. You can clearly see they are Middle Eastern, Iraqi, but they are American citizens. Walking through the streets that day, the war protesters' screams scared the children. They asked their mother about some of the things being said. Once they started crying, she took them into the alley to calm them down.
"Were the protesters actually screaming at them?"
Dean looks horrified at the thought. "No, and in actuality, my project wasn't about their experience. I chose to hone in and exploit the innocence of the children. That mother had to explain the concept of hatred and violence to her 5- and 6-year-old that day. An outing to do Christmas shopping turned into a nightmare for this woman. I just gave you the Cliff Notes version, but my story was much more detailed. I fully respect the right to free speech, but tried to spin how sometimes we get lost."
"Sounds interesting." "It's a great paper," Bryce adds.
A sense of pride fills me and I circle my arms around his waist. We go over to Quinn's project and she explains it to Bryce. Hers is more politically driven about the actual protests. A woman walks up on stage and welcomes everyone. She points out the committee members in the crowd and then does a general congratulations and thanks for coming. The committee is going to be coming to each of the exhibits, hoping to meet us, so Bryce and I stay close to my work. This is really amazing. I glance around the room.
"It is. I'm so proud of you."
"Thank you for being here with me."
"There's nowhere else I'd be."
He bends and brushes a light kiss over my lips.
"Devon."
Professor Davis comes up with 2 men. He introduces them, and they instantly ask questions. For the next hour, I talk to several people interested in my story. By the time the buffet is opened, I'm relieved. Talking about myself is exhausting. "How do you feel about eating and getting out of here?" I whisper when we sit down.
"You sure? This is a big deal."
"Yes, but we've been here long enough. I think we've spoken to everyone involved." We eat quickly and find Quinn and Dean to say goodbye. She gives me a knowing look and winks. The cab ride back to the hotel seems to take forever, and by the time we get out, my body is humming. When we get to the room, I grab my bag and start toward the bathroom.
"Devon," Bryce says lowly.
"Yeah?" My stomach sinks when I turn and see him. He looks unhappy. His arms are crossed and his stare is dark.
Drop your bag and come here.
I do as he says. Once in front of him, he moves quickly, both hands going to the sides of my head and lacing through my hair. Our eyes lock, and the heat in his expression isn't anger. It's desire.
Tell me, Devon.
Tell you what? I whisper.
You know what. I heard you talking to Quinn this morning.
Heat rushes to my face.
Don't, baby, don't be embarrassed. Don't get flushed. I feel it too. It may have taken me a longer time to figure it out. I need to hear you say it.
Fear hits me. It's one thing to be in love with someone for all these years, but it's another to actually say it out loud. To him.
Please, Devon,
he pleads. I love you, Bryce.
Fucking finally. I love you too. So much it hurts. I've always loved you in some way, but now it's so powerful it consumes me. You're all I think about. Every decision I've made lately revolves around you. You have the ability to destroy me.
2 tears fall down my cheeks as the levity of his words sink in. You too, Bryce. You have the ability to destroy me. In my mind, you already did once, but now I know the difference. I had no idea back then the weight of these feelings.
Do you see a future with me? Can you imagine being with me, say, forever?
Yes, I squeak. The look of relief that washes over him is visible. Without saying anything else, he lowers his mouth to mine and gives me a searing kiss. His hands still hold me in place, so all I can do is clutch at his shirt. This kiss is different than any other we have shared. It's full of passion and love. My heart races and knees go weak. He feels me sway a little and pulls back, kissing a trail over my face. One hand releases my head and goes to my back. He slowly pulls down on the zipper of the dress and locks eyes with me, looking for approval. I nod breathlessly. Once it's unzipped, he leans back and guides it over my shoulders. It falls easily down my body and pools at my feet. He hisses at the sight of me, in only my lingerie and heels, and a spasm shoots through my body. I push his jacket off and move quickly to the buttons on his shirt. He kicks off his shoes and socks, and then bends over to pick me up. Once he lays me gently on the bed, we both rip his shirt and toss it to the side. Suddenly, I'm in a rush to get him naked before he changes his mind. If he stops us again tonight, I'm going to scream. I kick off my shoes as my hands fumble with his belt and zipper until he has to help me. Once he strips down to his boxers, he covers my body with his and kisses me again. One of my legs wraps around his waist, pressing him as close to me as possible. He pulls back, and in a single movement, he has my bra off. His mouth covers one tight nipple as his hand travels down my stomach and into the silver lace of my panties. The instant his fingers slide into me, I want to come undone. He works his fingers slowly, building me up. It hasn't been 10 hours since he gave me my last orgasm, but the need and desire I feel right now makes it seem like forever ago. My hips jerk under his hand, pushing up, wanting more. His thumb rolls over my heated skin and he inserts another finger. I whimper and clamp down.
Come for me. I need to see it, hear it, feel it.
At his words, the orgasm rushes through me, causing me to scream. I toss my head back and try to catch my breath. Bryce takes no time removing my underwear and his own. When I look into his eyes, they have darkened to almost the color of cobalt.
In my life, I'll never get tired of that sound.
He shifts and reaches in his pants, pulling out a condom. I watch in fascination as he rolls it on and then moves back over me. Please, Bryce, don't make me wait any longer. I widen my legs and feel his tip. My gaze moves down to watch him enter me, but he cups my chin.
Eyes on me, baby.
I move my hands up his back and cling to his neck. He slides in slowly, giving my body time to adjust. The feel of his smooth skin sinking into me is unlike anything I've ever felt. A small moan escapes. Wanting to feel every inch of him, I swivel my hips, forcing him inside. A slight pain causes me to moan. He stops immediately, going pale. His worried eyes search mine for any sign of discomfort. The weight of what just happened hits us both. Instead of being embarrassed, I'm thrilled. This is what I used to dream about, Bryce loving me, taking me to bed, owning my virginity. One tear slips down my cheek and he starts to retreat. I shake my head and dig my fingers into his neck, urging him to continue. He starts to move, and the friction ignites the familiar buzz in my stomach. I wrap my legs back around him and push into his thrusts. The sensation of our bodies moving together brings me closer to the edge. I lean up to kiss him, wanting to be connected everywhere. Our tongues swirl together as he picks up his pace. My core muscles squeeze tight, and Bryce growls. My hands clutch his hair as the next orgasm erupts inside of me, and I scream his name. He rocks back twice more before joining me. Hearing him groan through his own release is the sexiest sound he's ever made. We lay in each other's arms, trying to get our breathing under control. I hate to move, but I need to take care of this condom, babe, he says softly in my ear. Watching his naked form walk to the bathroom, my heartbeat races again. When he shuts the door, I stretch and squeal to myself. I grab his discarded shirt off the floor and slip it on, then pull back the sheets and climb into bed. Bryce comes back with a washcloth and slides in next to me. Lay back, Devon. He presses the warm cloth to my center and cleans me gently, then throws it toward the bathroom. He tugs me into his body and positions me across him, lightly rubbing circles on my hip. Are you okay? Perfect, I answer him sleepily, trying to keep my eyes open. I don't want to ruin tonight or take away any of the beauty of what you just gave me, but tomorrow we're going to talk. Okay, but I want you to know, Bryce, that was everything I've ever dreamed about. The day I turned 18, before everything changed, all I wanted was to be loved by you. In my mind, you would be my first. It was beautiful. Devon, in my mind, I'm not only your first, but your only. I wake feeling watched and try to roll away from the position I stayed in all night. Bryce's hold tightens, and I look up to find him staring at me. Good morning, I croak. Morning, babe. You okay? Yeah, just thinking about something. So, I swore I'd never ask you about the guy you slept with, but I have to. Apparently, I didn't have sex with him. I laugh lightly. How did you not know? Do you really want to hear the story? No, because I'm relieved, but obviously there's a reason you thought it happened. I dated this guy, Kevin, for a while. One night after drinks, we started fooling around. One thing led to another. I told you it wasn't memorable because it was so quick. 1 minute he's pushing into me, the next it's over. Was there any foreplay? He glares at me sickly. Yeah, not really a lot for me, but I had him pretty primed. The look of sickness turns to humor and he laughs out loud. That fucker jizzed. What? Jizzed. He was so worked up as soon as he touched you, he came. He must have had him more than primed, or either he doesn't know how to fuck. Gross. Yeah, babe, but seeing you naked makes me question my stamina. That guy didn't have a chance. What happened to him? I broke it off soon after. I figured if sex was that bad, it wouldn't get better. You broke up with a guy because he was a bad lay? Well, he kind of got on my nerves, too, but being bad in bed is depressing. You know about the loser list, so I'd already had some disturbing experiences.
Come here.
He rolls me all the way on top of him. His hands frame my face and hold me in place.
I've never in my life been so happy about someone's misfortune. It's been driving me crazy that another guy had you. But now I know it's only me.
My heart melts at the look on his face and the sincerity behind his words. Well, you're lucky you're not bad in bed. Otherwise, we may have a problem.
Not bad, huh?
Nope, pretty fucking dynamic, I'd say. How long do you have to wait to be dynamic again? His expression turns darker, and the color of his eyes deepen.
You're going to be sore.
Well, I can be sore next week when you're gone. It's our first Valentine's Day. His cock jumps and tightens against my stomach, and he grins. I love you, Bryce. I grow serious and lean in to kiss him.
I love you too, Devin Harris,
he says against my lips. The next instant, I'm on my back and Bryce is reaching for his pants for a condom. I'm still wearing his shirt, and it lays open, baring my naked body to him. He rolls on the condom and then reaches down to touch me. I'm already soaking wet, just thinking about him inside of me again. When he lines himself against me and pushes in, the invasion is welcome. Just like last night, he fills me completely but slows to allow my body to adjust. Mine, he moans against my lips. Yours, I confirm.
Forever.
Nodding my head against his, I allow him to make love to me until we're both shouting each other's name. Chapter 11. It's been 3 weeks since I dropped Bryce off at the airport, and I've cried every day. Everything changed that weekend, and being apart is killing me inside. I miss him terribly, and he seems to miss me just as much. When we got home from D.C., Quinn and I decided to cook dinner that night because we figured it was better than trying to go to a restaurant. Even though she didn't have sex, Quinn had an equally monumental night with Dean after they left the exhibit. They finally talked and decided that it wasn't casual for either of them. They decided to put a label on their relationship. Bryce never left my side for the rest of the weekend. We were as social as possible, but it was hard to keep our hands off one another. We only left my room a few times on Sunday, and one of those was to tell Dean goodbye. So when I had to take Bryce to the airport after spending 4 nights wrapped in his arms and endless hours wrapped around his body, I was hysterical. Nate and Bryce's spring break starts today, and they are driving here for the week. We'll spend this weekend together, and then they go to Norfolk for a few days to see the base while I'm in school. Then Quinn and I are driving over to Virginia Beach to close out their trip. I've spent 2 days cleaning and getting ready for them to arrive. Besides school, it's the only thing that keeps me busy. Phew! Smells like fabuloso, Quinn says, walking in the door from class. Couldn't help it. Clean the kitchen again, I respond. You know we can eat off the counters, right? I shrug my shoulders and grab my laptop. What time are they supposed to be here again? In an hour. I'd call Bryce again, but Nate threatened me. A little obsessive? She jokes. Laugh all you want. I can't wait. What exactly are you going to do about your brother? What do you mean? You two aren't exactly quiet. I guess we'll have to be aware. Maybe you can help me plow Nate with beer so he passes out. I'll try, but I'd hate to see him beat Bryce's ass. Shut up. I throw a pillow at her head. Well, as your best friend, I'll try my best to get you laid as many times as possible without Nate throwing a full-on hissy fit. And that is why I love you. One of the many reasons. What you looking at? She motions to the computer screen. I'm checking out a new program offered to journalism majors. We can apply and they send groups to select locations around the world to cover certain stories. They've had some volunteers from the top news organizations to lead groups. We could get up to 9 credit hours this summer if accepted. Really? She grabs her laptop and sits down next to me. We spend the next 45 minutes looking over the information and applying for the program. Quinn leaves the room when Dean calls, and I go to the back porch to watch for Nate and Bryce. The cool wind chills my body, but as soon as I see the familiar headlights of Nate's truck pull into a parking spot, I forget about it. I rush through the house and out the door to meet them. Bryce sees me first and holds his arms out for me. I jump into his embrace, his familiar